welcome back to another episode of That's Why We're Here. And as you can see, I have a very special guest on the show with me today, my brother-in-law, Josh Sames. What's up, what's up?
Hello, it's very nice to be here.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful rainy day in wonderful Detroit. It's a pleasure to be on your program.
Yeah. So I have Josh on today because, for a number of reasons, but one, as I mentioned in a previous episode, I was majorly red-pilled in 2020, and I have to say that it was with the help of some aid, and Josh was a very major role in opening my eyes to the truth of the world and what is happening and the illusions that we're living in. So that is why I brought him onto this show, so we can discuss more in detail, more in depth than ever before experienced on this show of the illusions that we are currently cracking. So we're gonna get into a lot on this episode. We have a lot of points that we want to touch upon and dive into. So without further ado, let's jump right in, shall we?
Well, I think one thing to note right off the bat is, I don't know about you, but I'm in a learning point in my life. And that is one thing I've learned over, 2020, I think, was the biggest red pill for anybody, whether it's whether it's reading, seeing all these documentaries, just experiencing all the censorship, self-censorship also. But also for me, one thing that I was able to take away most from this is I don't know anything. And everything we thought we did know was brought to us throughout manipulation, propaganda, really to keep you in a state of fear, not knowing. And I think that... I think it was either Lenin or Hitler that talked about give me 12 years of a student and I can produce you a communist. I believe it was Lenin. And so that just goes to show, man, it's just you're brought up on Disney movies, brought up on Nickelodeon, brought up on this statism where, I mean, gosh, I love sports. I love football. I love baseball. But how many times do you not even think about why you put your hand over your heart in this Pledge of Allegiance to the state my God, man, being in the first grade, you get these kids to pledge allegiance. They don't know why, to whom.
Yeah, they don't know what it all means.
But from there, I think it's what's most important is to understand we don't know anything. Mm-hmm. And I think that when people do, those are the people to be most suspicious of, especially when it's coming from anything on the television or social media influencers. And filter it on Facebook. I mean, I could even say, you could go to my Instagram and nothing's been posted on there in years. Even like being on Facebook, I'll post something and it gets no interactions. Even that's being throttled. Like social media is one of the biggest propaganda tools there is, really. For
sure. Whew. Yeah. So that touched upon a couple of the topics that we want to get into today. I think that it's really important to start off like noting that this is about, not giving into fear and this is a show to empower people, empower ourselves and empower the viewers to live in their truth and not live a lie that was programmed into us since childhood. Like we're deprogramming that stuff and
well, don't you find it so important to grab a hold of your power? That's really been my moniker I think maybe the last 6 months really thought about that. And I'm sure that wasn't my original idea. I'm sure I took that from somebody, but that's just what I keep telling people, whether it's family, friends who are already vaccinated, whether it's people who I not to name any names, but it's like, I have a couple of friends in particular where they just throw their hands up and say, I don't know, so I'm just going to go along to get along. Like, fuck that, you know? And I already asked if I could cuss on the show, and that's just completely fuck that, man, because there are so many opportunities to understand. And, exactly. It was a philosopher who said something to the effect of, like, with all this new information, like the internet really allowed the common man to have the information of the elite. Because, a couple centuries ago, you had to rely on your priest, the local papers. Scholars, sure, to tell you the information. Even to speak on the priests, they were the ones to tell you what God said, to tell you the information. When we could look at, not to go too deep into secret societies, but this information was for the the eyes to see and those who had the ears to hear, they had it, and that was plans were set in motion, and the people like you and me were just, useless eaters, to quote Henry Kissinger.
Yeah. I think I would like to get into the easiest segue into all this is the use of propaganda through different means.
Sure.
To push certain agendas. And touching on what you said, like it's anybody can change their reality. It's up to those who have the desire to change.
Sure.
That end up empowering themselves through this knowledge. So that's kind of where I want to start. Where I started, I guess, was with understanding what predictive programming was. And that was like probably in 2018 when I first understood what that was.
What helped you understand that?
Actually, a friend of mine, we were kind of messaging back and forth one day, and he was like, "Have you looked into predictive programming at all in like the movies in Hollywood that you see?" And I was like, "No, like what's that?" And so I literally did an internet search. I was like, "What's predictive programming?" And then I was like, "Oh my God." And that opened up a whole can of worms. And I'm coming from the film industry perspective of
Right.
like watching movies my whole life, loving them and loving them so much that I in turn wanted to make them myself, And so I at that point in 2018 just saw through like these movies that like with a lot of the ones based on like war and stuff like that. Later I found out like, Contagion and stuff like that was like definitely pointing to modern times.
Oh God, I watched that right when coronavirus kicked off.
Yeah.
My wife and I just like we watched that shit and then looked at each other like legitimately weirded out, man.
This is happening.
And then, it goes a couple months go by and you're like, that was total bullshit. But you ended up having, why? Some mainstream news article, I'm sure. But they fucking interviewed like Matt Damon and Gwyneth Paltrow and Lawrence Fishburne, actors in this movie to tell you what to do during a pandemic.
Oof.
Why? Okay.
Celebrities telling you what to do with your health?
Well, and actually, it's to speak Matt Damon. That just reminded me. I saw a picture on the internet when Good Will Hunting came out, which I was too young. This is like more recently. I saw it because Ben Affleck and Matt Damon won Oscars. I think it was for that movie. Great movie. I love that shit. That was awesome. But you can see there's pictures of Ben Affleck and Matt Damon watching, like before it even premiered, watching Good Will Hunting with Bill Clinton, like alone, like cracking up, like eating popcorn and shit. And it's I think what coming to predictive programming, I remember. Well, you get that red pill when I don't know if you've seen the Zeitgeist films. You remember that? Yeah, I saw that as probably 21, 22, but it doesn't really fully resonate. And even like the war in Iraq in general, all the Middle East bullshit, like it didn't really resonate because you're still taking your kids to school, you're still going to Dairy Queen, you're still
there, not
eating
here.
McDonald's. Yeah. Now, like everything today, it's affecting everybody all the time, everywhere. Even if you might have medical exemptions for your kids, you might go everywhere without a mask, but you turn on to watch the Detroit Lions and everyone on the sideline has a mask on, and every commercial is telling you go get a vaccine, et cetera, et cetera. But I remember when American Sniper came out. You remember that movie with Bradley Cooper?
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw it though.
Well, don't. It's a complete war propaganda circle jerk. Don't even bother. But the whole film is like, good old boy Bradley Cooper. He's a fucking rodeo cowboy guy, buff ass, good looking Southern boy, and then it's, he's married to his chick or whatever, his girlfriend. And then it's like the Twin Towers get hit on his TV. And then he gets out of the shower looking buff and he looks over at his girl like, I need to go do something about this.
Oh.
And it's like, then there goes in, and it's about Chris Kyle. And even come to find out, like, that was even exposed. Like Chris Kyle. He is the American Sniper. He came back. He wrote the book American Sniper. He was, ex-Marine. But as the story goes, he died by taking another Marine to a shooting range. and gets shot by him, as the story goes. I don't know, but even Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota, former Marine, all this shit. Chris Kyle fabricated a story about Jesse Ventura, who was a fellow Marine, and when Marines graduate, all the former Marines come to the graduation to honor their guys. Yeah,
like alumni.
Yeah, exactly. And so Chris Kyle fabricates this whole story about how Jesse Ventura punches him in the face and all this stuff and creates this whole big scuffle, and Chris Kyle comes out and beats his ass and all that. And this is right before he goes on a book tour to sell a book. Okay. So Jesse Ventura sues him. And mind you, okay, this is one guy's word against the other, but this was in court. And so they're in the back room with the judge, and Jesse Ventura just looks at him. He's like, dude, it's over. Just say it's over. I'll leave you alone. I didn't do that. That's a complete lie. And the guy's a freaking sociopath or something, because he just looks at me. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Denial.
So, and it's it's good luck. It's like when you're watching the news. They'll run a fabricated story, and then 2 days later on page 8 in small print, it's okay that we're actually wrong about that. We need to backtrack that. Yeah. But that was a big propaganda moment or predictive programming moment for me. And but even, I mean, you can even but to talk about the movies Kubrick, everybody loves Stanley Kubrick, but some even think about, was he taken out because he was exposing it? I mean, you watch a lot of his films, and we don't need to go too deep into the faked moon landing. Whatever anybody thinks about that, that's on you. I encourage you to look into that.
Explore it.
Yeah. What was that?
Massimo Mizuno?
Yeah.
I think his name is. I'll write it in the show notes description.
He's made different films about that, but you look at Lolita. Have you ever seen that?
I never saw that, but I know about it.
It's the Lolita Express was Jeffrey Epstein's plane, which all these highfalutin politicians, actors, actresses, comedians, etc. Bill Gates, the Clintons, all that kind of noise. I mean, he was the liaison to hooking up with the kids and all that noise, but Lolita Express was his plane. Lolita was just a movie about this rich ass old guy courting a 12-year-old girl. And
you hear that?
And it's all in black and white. It was an old film, and even Eyes Wide Shut. They literally filmed that in Evan de Rothschild, whatever, the Rothschild mansion in England. I mean, to name a few.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And that's
2001: A Space Odyssey. It's a must see. You know what I'm saying? Hal with the AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Woo! I know you're trying to destroy me.
Of course, but that's the military information terror complex. I mean, that's riddled throughout all.
Oh
film.
yeah.
Black Hawk Down.
The war hero movies.
The Hurt Locker, all that. But even to go further, I mean, if you want to talk about propaganda, I mean, just look to sports these days.
Oof,
look
let's
to
get into
sports
that.
throughout. I mean, because that was even. I don't remember what year, but I mean, you can look back. I mean, over 10 years ago, you didn't even have players on the field for this stuff. I think that was in the 90s when they actually started putting players on the field for the national anthem, and it was you have the federal government giving millions and millions of dollars to sponsor the NFL. And what do you get with that? Then you have players running around with American flags. You have, let's honor these military people. You literally have, signs in the stands, thank you military, all this kind of stuff. And I mean, what do you get from that? I mean, it's who's watching this stuff? I mean, young people, what do you want them to do? Send them off to war, fight rich banker wars, and the process goes on and on. I mean, I know I have a good friend of mine. I don't want to mention his name, but I'll talk to him. He's an Army guy, and I mean, the guy came from graduated high school, but didn't have much going on from there. Kid from the city. Gets into the Army, thinking, okay, I get free education, get to travel the world, whatever. He went into the war in Afghanistan. He killed people and came back and he had a lot of alcohol problems from that. I've been with the guy drinking, him opening up about some of that shit, and it tore him up. And but they don't tell you that. No, but what there is a Army recruiter in your high school cafeteria, And then I've been to some of these. I remember being. In my 20s, young in my 20s with no direction, wandering into a naval recruiter, and they got kids in there playing Call of Duty. Oh, the video games are predictive programming hardcore.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2027.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah, and I want to something you just said is kids with no direction. I think that's the main target audience for all this stuff is people who don't know what to do in this modern society because everything's going in all these different directions and you could do quote unquote anything you want. The world is your oyster, but really is it? Like, is it?
The illusion of choice?
Yeah.
Like voting? Yeah, go out and vote. Yeah, let's do that. And let's run commercials where we have NBA players who are like 18, 19, 20 telling you, oh, just go ahead and vote, you know.
First-hand experience, I was on a documentary. It was more like a commercial, but it was when I was brought onto this job, it was like, we're doing an NBA documentary about, it was literally election day. We ended on election day. It was like a 3-day gig, and I was in interviews, sitting in interviews with NBA players from the Detroit Pistons, and this was a production that was going on at the same time all across the country. So all these different cities with different NBA teams were being asked the same questions and answering the same questions for this documentary propaganda that I was actually a part of. I was getting paid as a production assistant on this gig, and I had firsthand experience of this stuff because literally they're asking the questions like they're talking about should like the questions they were asking is like should these people in the NBA be speaking out about the stuff that's going on right now as in terms of like BLM, in terms of all the things that were happening in November of 2020, and all of their answers were like yes, like they told us to shut up and dribble, but we don't like that. Like it's really interesting because like who's paying for this? Who's paying for this propaganda?
Well, I don't think that's nuanced, and I don't think it should be like I don't care. You should not have an opinion. I think, hey man, go right ahead.
Yeah, but I think you should have an opinion too. But who's paying for your opinion to be out there?
But the it's a job. Your franchise is a corporation, and they do have the right to tell you to shut the hell up. I mean, and so it's like if you're free to do that, go right ahead. I mean, George Foreman, you know, in the Olympics, Muhammad Ali, he was very vocal about that and totally cool, righteous, right on. But it is very misleading when you do. I mean, because it's always, you know, follow the money. And
yes,
always. My sort of what makes me think is I don't know if you remember before COVID, we had one of the biggest protests in like I don't know if I'd say global history, but something to that effect in Hong Kong. And
yeah, extradition, China.
Sure. And do you hear anything about that anymore whatsoever? No.
I just remember seeing them all in masks and being like, "That looks crazy."
Well, this was even before COVID, and it was the general manager of the Houston Rockets. I don't remember the guy's name, but he tweeted out something like, "I support Hong Kong. I'm in support of Hong Kong," something to that effect. And one stat I heard recently, if I'm wrong, whatever, but this is one stat I heard recently that there are more NBA fans in China than it's comparable to the population of the United States. And if I heard that stat wrong, whatever, but I do know for a fact that it's China has some of the biggest NBA fan base in the world, period. Yeah. Which means they spend the most money of any country in the world on NBA apparel, I don't know, streaming, whatever you want, whatever. And after those statements were made, one tweet and everything Houston Rockets was completely taken off. I can't remember the name of it, but basically the Chinese Google, because they don't have Google in China. They have Chinese state-run internet, basically, where, you know, your social credit score could determine whether you even show up or not. Everything's filtered, yada, yada, yada. But from one tweet, it was everything Houston Rockets was completely taken off of. You couldn't buy it. You couldn't watch their games. You couldn't... Yeah.
Completely discredited.
You couldn't get news on the team at all whatsoever. And the GM, he walked it back. And that was because of the funding. It was because of the money. And that just goes to show money is over any free speech, really. And I mean, I'm almost to the opinion where, I don't know, man. I almost think that the sports were brought, because you remember sports were all shut down during COVID.
Yeah.
So no one had anything to do. And so it was, you could not get away from COVID, period. Yeah. It was, even now you can't get away from it. I'm driving my car today, every billboard, and every billboard, every television commercial. And if you want to go predictive programming, why is it you're going to watch a commercial about Walmart and it's like two husband, wife walking down an aisle by themselves wearing masks? Like, why is it? I think it's what's that show, Superstore, whatever. I don't know, some stupid sitcom. I've never watched it, but I've seen it. And it's like it's them all in masks. All they're advertising it on Hulu. But that's predictive programming to hardcore. But I'm almost to the effect where I think sports were brought back just to be a billboard for social issues, COVID, whatever. Because I mean, look at the NBA. It's like you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't watch any game without BLM on the courts. They all had the, I don't know, social justice phrases or someone who was killed on their jerseys, whatever. But if you wanted to speak out against that, if you didn't support that, it's like, you better shut the fuck up or get with the program. I mean,
get with the program.
Get with the program. Well, and it's I found it hilarious where, like, the NBA, for instance, like they and the NBA is much more global than like baseball, football, hockey. Baseball, America's pastime. NFL is even bigger than baseball in America.
It's American football.
Totally. Hockey, big in Canada and U.S. Yeah. Obviously in Europe is huge, Russia, etc. But NBA basketball, biggest in the world. Interesting. But in order to like have the season play, they played in the bubble. You remember that? Yeah.
No, I don't. But I don't follow sports as much.
Sure. But it was like Epcot. They Epcot. They
like a little dome.
Yeah. Well, and the whole idea was like they had it was obviously like a limited season, but they had all the players. You were tracked like that. I don't know if they wore like ankle bracelets or anything like that, but you weren't able to leave the Epcot hotels. You weren't allowed to have people in or out. And this was, as an employee, you're not going to fuck that up because that's your job. That's what you do. Right there. And there was it was basically you played the games and you went back to your hotel. Yeah. And there was even a couple players who were kicked out for the season because they were like sneaking girls in and shit. But it was even worse was they would have all this like, I don't know, social justice, communist literature in there. Like, there's planted
in there?
Yeah, in the hotel rooms. Yeah, there was this really famous video. I mean, I shared it on Facebook, but it was hilarious where you see, because all the players, they do these like press conferences after the game. You know how that is.
The interviews.
Yeah, and so they come out to a little podium. They got the microphones, and the journalists are asking them stupid softball questions. But now it's like you said, they want the players to be more
vocal,
socially vocal, politically vocal,
about social justice.
In my opinion, because who's watching the NBA? It's young kids, families, whatever, regardless of skin color, regardless of that, it's kids, and I mean that's where you start. I mean that's start them young. But anyways, so it's this video. LeBron James, King James, he is the face of the NBA. Period. Everybody in the world knows this guy. But he walks out with the autobiography of Malcolm X, and Malcolm X is famously quoted as saying, "What's more dangerous, or I should say something to the effect of like, the white liberal is the most dangerous thing in the world because like as opposed to a conservative, it's like the white liberal is the fox while the conservative is a wolf. Like the fox is playful and will trick you, and next thing you know, the lamb is on its plate, something like that. But LeBron James walks out with the autobiography of Malcolm X in his hand. Sits down. It's really made a show about it, and Malcolm X was an open conservative. He was not anything about this social justice shit. I mean, he was. I don't think he would have been accepted today because he was very radical with it in the sense of like, because especially at that time, like black folks were marginalized, and he was very much okay. You don't want to see her? Go fuck yourself. We'll be over here then, and you can take any stance you want on that. I don't take a stance on that, but what happened was LeBron James has his book and. A reporter asked him like, "Oh, LeBron, what was your favorite part about that book?" And man, it looked like
he was.
I felt
sweating.
like I felt like I was like me in high school in the back row, and I didn't do my
when
reading
you get called
assignment.
on, dude. Yeah,
it was very much like, he was a really smart guy.
He said some things.
He used the word Negro a lot. A really powerful guy. I think we need to look to him. Everyone's like. And I'm just watching like someone got fired that day.
Yeah, like good job.
But and that's it. And it's very much like it's I mean, it's an old communist tactic, man. Feelings over facts. You must like prioritize feelings. Rational thought, critical thinking. No, we don't need that. Common Core is a great example. And I have a family member of ours is in, I don't like to mention names. I don't want to dox anybody, but this little person is in, I don't know, second grade, whatever. I hope I got that wrong to not give any information, but he's in like grade school and talking to his grandfather. The parent reached out to them like, dude, what is this crap? Because it's like Common Core math, and it's like they're encouraging them to find multiple answers to math questions. 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. 2 + 2 can equal 5, but if you told me how to get there, I mean, and it's very much like you're getting away from the critical thinking. It's very much getting to these like short answer tests where you only have to understand, not even understand, but remember and regurgitate small pieces of information.
Yeah.
Long form content, you don't need that.
You don't need to make sense or connect the dots.
You don't need to think critically.
Yeah.
Well, it's even like the kids are now like Wikipedia is a good resource, you know, like it's very much like these trusted sources, like Brian Stelter on CNN, his show's called Trusted Sources or something like that. Like it's very much what's up is down these days.
It's so interesting because I remember going through grade school and high school learning that you could like Wikipedia was not a trusted source, and now they're teaching kids that it is a trusted source. Who's running Wikipedia though? Who's funding that?
God,
I forgot, but we can look into that.
Helen Boyzinski, I think her name is. She writes for RT Russia Today. She did a really good deep dive on Wikipedia. I think it's like NewsGuard is on there. I don't want to speak incorrectly, but it's. I mean, even if you want to go on a surface level blue pill, I mean, for one, is what they tell you. Anybody can upload any information. Yeah. Which is not what happens. It's completely run by who they want to run it, But just on the surface level, it's, anybody could upload this information. So, yeah, if you're going to write a paper in high school, Wikipedia is not the place to go.
Right.
But they're completely rewriting history.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why it's nice to see, DuckDuckGo. Yeah. It's nice to see VPNs really come into the forefront because, I don't know, man, good luck finding anything you want on Google.
Yeah, honestly, and I I wanted to mention this because I think it's probable, but I would not be surprised if this episode in particular gets blacklisted from the internet and gets banned. So get it while it's hot, you know what I'm saying? But really, I think that goes into the point of like propaganda promoting victimhood, where they're eliminating rational thought, critical thinking, and prioritizing feelings, like you were saying. I think that's
I think we're like I think that we are living in a society that's encouraging victimhood, where you're almost like, you know, who can be more of a victim? You know, here's a gold star because I don't know, you're you're oppressed. I don't know. And I mean, it's not even like skin color. It's, what are your pronouns? Oh, somebody didn't address you as your right pronoun, so you take to Twitter, or Starbucks charged you extra on your soy additive to your latte or something. Like weak times create strong men create good times create produce weak men. You know, it's like I was saying that goes like
it's a vicious cycle.
I know they want to create this idea that we're in wartime and like we're fighting the invisible enemy, the coronavirus.
The war on COVID.
But no, like it's been so soft, it's been so good for so long, and I'm grateful to it. I mean, I haven't had a war on this soil in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely don't want to be alive during World War I, World War II. I guess that wasn't even really here and on American soil, but even this whole COVID thing, I mean, it's like it's telling people. I mean, it's really taking away your power. It's taking away your loosh. And even like we've seen that like years and years ago. We've learned. I think it was. Abu Ghraib was a great example, and that like what was that? Where they sent the prisoners. The military, it's basically a military prison, but where they were basically, they were putting hoods over the prisoners, beating the crap out of them. All these like waterboarding was a part of it, but they were also using like psychological tactics to demoralize. But that ultimately what I'm trying to say is we already know, like putting masks over people is you completely destroy their identity. Yeah. You completely destroy
hiding their truth.
Personality. I mean, it's a fucking muzzle.
It is a muzzle.
I mean, I didn't watch The Handmaid's Tale, but I know that's part of the show.
I didn't watch that show either because I don't know, I just didn't like the subject matter. But
But if you have power, like, and I mean that's a pretty blanket term, but I mean choice equals freedom.
Yeah.
And there is no choice, like whether it comes to the vaccines, whether it comes to masks. I mean, and you almost like
Well,
now
they're telling you that there's no choice, but you really do have a choice.
Right. Yeah. I don't. I think the last place I wore a mask in was like a UPS. But even like I've been to Texas, I've been to Florida over all this time. I've been to Ohio. It doesn't have to be like this.
Yeah.
And even like look at our Big Gretch. You know, Big Gretch, who they even made a rap song about her. She was here. She had our best interest in mind, right? Yeah. Well, she's actually being investigated right now. If you live in the state of Michigan, the Macomb County prosecutors are looking into her. If any of your family members, your grandmother, your brother, your father, anyone died in the nursing homes and you believe to be foul play, reach out to the Macomb County prosecutors right now. Lucido, I think his name is. He's heading this up. Charlie, who's a guy who worked for Fox 2, Charlie something or whatever. But I saw an interview with him on Tim Pool. Oh, you watched that? But he's an investigative journalist. But they're investigating her, and it's not about. Because it's sort of like the Cuomo thing in New York, but even worse than that, like that's what I've heard this called a lot. Like this is not this is more of a pandemic of willful misconduct, if you will, and because that was a thing with Whitmer, and I don't know, I'm very torn in this. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say like there's no virus at all. I mean, I might be more in the camp of it. It's more of a mutated flu, if you will, and I that's being pretty liberal on that. Like, I'm more in this. I almost believe there's not much going on at all, but I know some people are dealing with some stuff, so I'm gonna just call it. It's. But I have family who have dealt with it. I know people have dealt with it, and I'll take my chances with getting that and therapeutics. You know, your vitamin D, vitamin C, you know, whatever. And people can go into that, but as opposed to any vaccines, But that's the thing. Yeah, she's being investigated for putting positively tested, sick, whatever you call it, patients into these nursing homes with the most at risk, most affectable. There's even like most that vulnerable video. That video went viral of that older guy getting. And there's no context. It was like on a cell phone video, but the older guy getting the shit beat out of him by some young guy in a nursing home, no masks on him and all that. People got raped in these nursing homes. Yeah. So, I mean, and I'm not going to, you don't have to call me a COVID denier. I'll okay, we can say something's going on, but
that's what you want.
That happened. Care. That happened. She put these people in, and not only that, they hid data. Like in this reporter, I'll remember the name, but like they're working on this case, they're collecting the data. That's all they asked was show us this data, show us all these patients, and they couldn't do it. So that's and
where did it go? It went missing. Well, we don't have it.
And
oops.
With the HIPAA laws, which are great, they can't just access all these people's records. So that's why they just implore Michigan citizens, if you're dealing with that, please reach out. And
do what you can.
Yeah,
because you could sue the state. Honestly,
yeah,
right.
Yes, and actually, in New York State, they're passing. I don't remember the bill number, but they're passing the bill for COVID death benefits.
Yo,
yeah,
I saw that on your laptop, and I was like, what?
Yeah, and you can go look at your friendly socialist AOC. I saw like her outside on a microphone screaming, "The day has finally come," with her bug eyes, like where go call whatever New York number, but basically the New York Health and Human Services, basically. And if you can tell them like COVID death, and you'll receive, I think it's like $50,000.
Holy crap, that's no small fee.
So this is money laundering here, folks. Like, and this is their COVID relief. It's not about putting money and money's not the answer. I'm sorry. These stimmies. I'm sorry.
They're trying to pay people to get the vaccines.
Well, they're trying to get you more under the control of the state.
Yes.
Okay. Like if they really wanted to help you and me and anybody,
they would leave us alone.
Or maybe give some tax incentives, or allow people to open and run their businesses, even if you want to.
Yeah, let us make a living, an honest living.
Yeah, put some mask mandates in or something like that. But throwing money at the problem is not the answer. Take that money and go buy gold and silver.
Yeah, some good advice.
Hedge against the U.S. dollar.
Yeah. Whew.
But the predictive programming is heavy, man. It's I almost think that Well, you can find video on. I think it was 60 Minutes. I watched it early on because, hey man, I bought toilet paper too. I was afraid as well. Everybody was in a state of fear early on in this. Who wasn't? And you could turn on 60 Minutes and you'll see Nancy Pelosi at Chinatown like, this is racist. This is racist. We're not calling it the Wuhan flu, whatever. And okay, you don't call it the Wuhan flu. I don't care. Me neither. But I mean, I do find it weird. We call it the Spanish flu. We call it,
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, when, the feelings over facts, people like that's offensive to folks of China. And I love the Chinese brothers and sisters. That's great. Yeah. But then it's like, what's up with all these strains? Like, this is the UK strain. This is the Brazilian strain. This is the, the African strain.
Yeah. Show me the proof that you've pinpointed the strain that caused this whole thing.
But you see but it was almost like but you saw Air Fauci, like you saw Saint Fauci talking about we don't need masks. Masks will just make people afraid. Which, okay, cool. And then you saw a couple minutes later, it's okay, we need a mask, and then it's a double mask, and then you hear people talk about triple masks.
Oh, and he said when he was asked about when do you think we'll get our freedoms back, he said pretty much, I'm not concerned about freedom. This is our new normal. Like, I'm not concerned about freedoms. Literally, he said that straight up. He's like, I'm not concerned about your freedoms. That's not what I care about. So if you're really trusting this guy's information and expertise over his career, and he's straight up saying that he doesn't give a shit about your freedom, take note of that.
This is the highest paid government official.
Highest paid government official.
More than the president.
That speaks volumes. I always say, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. That's been my MO for since a couple of years ago, I guess. When I started waking up to the world, I was like, okay, what can I do? How do I understand this? I told myself, I'm like, the only thing that makes sense to me is follow the money. Who's funding who? That's why I was asking those questions earlier, like who's funding these sports teams? Who's funding this? Blah, 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 because it matters. And it's I would to finish that thought, it's almost like after hearing so much about masks, non-masks, whatever, it feels to me, because it's been over a year, and we can look to there are doctors, a lot of them are being suppressed, but there are doctors who are treating patients right now and have been over all this time. And it's successfully, I should say.
Yeah, and not using, let's put the Rockefeller, pharmaceutical industry, whatever you want to put that. Let's put all that aside, and there's people just treating this with vitamin C, vitamin D,
zinc, hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, well, and it's the things that they label quackery.
Yeah.
But even if you want to go down that pharmaceutical route, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and zinc, budesonide. My grandfather got COVID, and mind you, he felt a little sick. He went to the doctor. Oh, you have a sinus infection. And why did he even go get tested after that? He did, with these bullshit PCR tests, and then he ends up in the hospital. And so I'm obviously alarmed. He's 88. He's in great shape. He doesn't take any pills at all. But he's in freaking Florida, golfs. He's walking around golfing 5 days a week, whatever. But he tests positive. Okay, you got to go. Quarantine, whatever. So I'm calling him a couple times, just saying, how you doing? They put him on this they called it like a antibody cocktail. I don't have the notes in front of me. I took some notes and I had to look it up, but he was fine in less than a week. I'm like, okay, what happened? Oh, I felt like a really bad flu. Yeah. Couldn't go out for a week. It really sucked.
That's what most people I hear are saying.
That's what my 88-year-old grandfather told me.
Damn.
And if you want to even, I can't trust any CDC. I don't trust any government organization. Period.
Yeah, why is that?
Government is a problem. Government is the biggest superstition, the biggest lie. Period. I'm a voluntarist. I am a anarcho-capitalist, and I do firmly believe that even without these bumpers, without these
labels.
Yeah, well, without these structural things in place, people will operate just fine. Yeah. All the government has done is done to regulate you. It's like people think that anarchists are like what they're just going to show up and burn shit down.
They're deteriorating our society.
Well, in actuality, these are the people who show up to your city council meetings and wonder, why can't I paint my shed? Like
they're the ones asking questions. I'd say. I mean,
but yeah, the government has just stepped into people's way. It's regulated. It's done more. It's taken your money and put it outside this country. It's invested into foreign wars, forever wars. Why are we still in Afghanistan? We're defending the poppy fields. God, gold, oil, drugs. That's all the government is running on, and it's all these black operations. But and then you have to look into fascism these days because people. I mean, it's like, so I'm on after the January 6th theater because that was not an insurrection. What do they call it?
The insurrection? It's not insurrection.
We can go into that
theater
also,
piece.
But that did not happen as it said. But I'm like, making the mistake of scrolling Facebook, and a person I knew, she's posting something like, your fascism is showing America, and it's like, that is the fucking problem. People don't understand words. Like, people don't understand word magic, I guess. Yeah. But they've convinced you. I don't know what fascism. What, you're oppressing me? I don't know. But the definition of fascism is the government and big business, i.e., corporations, working together to benefit the state. Corporatism is the same, but to benefit the corporations.
Yeah, and it's flipped.
We are living in both of that is going on right now, and the crony capitalism, because capitalism is pure. And even if you want to talk about race issues, capitalism is the purest way to fight racism. What I mean by that is okay, you want to run a racist bar or country club, you know what's going to happen? They're going to open up a bar right next to you that isn't racism and lets everyone in, and then they're going to put you out of business, dude. During Jim Crow. During the, what year was that? But like during, after slavery, Jim Crow happened. People were free, but they were facing a lot of, I don't know, racism. Blanket statement, racism. You know what businesses did the best? And like these underground, these clubs, these nightclubs, these bars, the businesses that let everybody in. And because green is the most important color, and the businesses that fell to the wayside were the ones that said, okay, screw you, we're just whites only, whatever. Capitalism is the purest form to do away with any of that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. And that's the problem with government is the government comes in, it's the government. And I'm okay, OSHA. Okay. I think that's great. We need a health department, but if you want to talk about the health department, not to name what restaurant, but I know people managing a particular restaurant in this area, and you have health department, not the police, not whatever. You have health departments showing up with body cams on, and they're standing in the lobby, and they're writing up $1,000 fines because, I don't know, like in one instance in particular, 2 of the workers had a mask under their nose, and one customer in the lobby area had no mask on. So this person writes $1,000 fine to the person managing the place and $1,000 fine to the business.
Like,
what the
personally
hell?
To the manager?
Yes.
Out of pocket?
So they both had to go to...
Wow.
Not to mention where, but they had to go to court and do that, handle that business. And
it's petty.
And I was what's worse, I'm informed the health department is not even doing their job. And they weren't checking temperatures on food. They're not checking dates. They're not making sure things are rotated, all that kind of stuff. But rather, you're checking masks. You're checking social distance. I mean, give me a fucking break.
Yeah.
What is, and I mean, just to speak on that, I mean, suicide rates have surpassed COVID deaths. Suicides have surpassed COVID deaths. Overdose has surpassed COVID deaths. Domestic abuse of all kinds, sexual, domestic, whatever, have surpassed anything COVID related. You name it. What is really the fucking problem here? And
really, there, yeah.
Well, and just to speak on fascism, I mean I want to get back to that. That's I mean to me that is the problem because the Great Reset, the technocracy, the whatever fascism, if you want to use that incorrectly, is not going to come in with a boot on your neck. It's going to come in with a corporate smile. Now, and it's you even have states like Texas has lifted all their mandates, and mind you, all those COVID cases and deaths have gone down in Texas after the mask mandates and all that shit has gone away.
Interesting.
But you have Walmart, Home Depot, these large corporate entities are saying, no, if you want to come in here, you still have to wear a mask. So you have a system you have an operation which has systematically done away with small and medium-sized businesses. They're destroyed. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, at least where I live, which I'm not going to share, but everywhere around me, it's whether it's bars, restaurants, stores, whatever. And what remains are the corporate ones. But that is what you're going to have implementing the new world order, the new world we live in. I don't know. It is. But that's and that's the thing, and that's I'm sorry, that's communism. That's socialism.
Yeah, I mean it kind of goes into like the social credit system in a way. Like it's not about what's right for you; it's about what's right for everybody else. But really, like who's deciding that? Like, are you letting big corporations and governments tell you what's right for you, or are you going to make your own decisions on what's right for you? Are you listening to your own body and deciphering if you are sick or not, whether or not you actually have this disease or not, or like if you feel whatever? Are you going to listen to them to define your morals? Like virtue signaling all around us is ever present right now. And I honestly can't, it's like,
why don't you tell us what you think virtue signaling is for anyone who doesn't understand?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a great point. So virtue signaling, as I understand it, is, steering public opinion to do what is morally and ethically in line with the collective. So pretty much giving up your freedoms to fall in line with what certain parties tell you is best for the greater good.
I think it's even worse. I think that is an aspect, but to me, virtue signaling is showing people that you're doing that. Like all that shit is great and all, and you know, you could feel however you want, but virtue signaling to me is like when you take a photo of your vaccine card and put it on Facebook.
Or if you're like, I've heard of people on like dating websites doing this or this to imply that they've got one shot or two shots. I swear to God, it's a thing. It's a thing. That's that.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the virtue signal, or you know, it's the blacked out Facebook profile picture, or right. You know, it's oh my god, dude. Yeah. Like a couple weeks ago, I'm going. I don't know. I was leaving my house in the car. We had to turn around because we forgot something, and so we're pulling up in front of my house. My wife just runs in, and I look over, and it's a guy on a motorcycle, and he was probably like, "What the fuck?" Because it's my house. He's just right there. I saw him picking up his hat. My hat fell off while he was riding. But so he looks over. Of course, I'm like, no, what's up? No. So he's like, okay, shit's chill. But the dude is, you know, he's a buff guy, whatever. He looks super healthy, skinny, whatever. Looked like he worked out. He's not wearing a helmet, but he's wearing an N95 mask on his motorcycle on, you know, a nice spring day. So it's like that to me is virtue signaling. Yeah. Now, and I love I support motorcycle riding, and I support the law, like not having a law that you need to wear a helmet. Because that is your fucking choice. That's your right. Noggin. That's your right to kill yourself. I don't care. Bungee jump, whatever. But that guy felt it so necessary to wear an N95 mask while he's riding his motorcycle
through the wind, the fresh air,
and on a nice sunny day. Because all that is just, you know, showing me that he cares about my safety.
Yeah,
that's a virtue. That's virtue signaling to me.
Yes, I agree. That's what the masks are. And it's literally like it's muzzling yourself, hiding your truth, literally your identity and your face and your freedom of speech and freedom of being your own person in your own body freely, to silence yourself, hide your truth, and I'm just not about that life.
Well, it's almost like what was worse was I'm so glad I was going to say, I'm so glad election season is over, but do you guys miss Trump yet? It's like first week of Sleepy Creepy Joe's presidency. We're already dropping bombs on brown people in Syria or Yemen and shit. So whatever, regardless of how you felt about Orange Man bad, now that time is over.
Yeah, we had peace in the Middle East for like a hot second.
Well, yes, but that is also nuanced. So that's one thing I will say the problem Trump had. So we can actually say we're not just big Trumpsters. I will, you know, he had problems, and I don't think any president, even if you put Santa Claus in there, he'll become a serial killer at some point. Mm-hmm. But I think that he had a Zionist problem, and like that was I mean, to get into presidency, he took a lot of like Israeli funding, and that's where, and then I mean, you gotta pay back. You gotta pay back your dues once you get in, and that's where we saw peace in the Middle East for the first time in a long time, which I support 100%. But who is the strongest, entity in that whole area is Israel. And Israel is like London, and it's like it's like the Vatican. They have no natural resources. They have no real industry. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but somehow like they're the most powerful country, and they're this small little like patch of land, and I'm not even touching the Israeli-Palestine right now. There's a lot of people dying for a lot of reasons, and well, probably not a lot of reasons, but I'm not touching that one. But again, that's God told me that this is my land, so I'm gonna kill you. Right. But I mean, and that's but if you really want to talk about Israel, why is it that like I think it's like. Basically, all of Joe Biden's cabinet as dual citizenship, Israeli and
interesting.
Yeah, like good friend Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State, just to name one. I kind of find that weird.
Do you find that like
conflict of interest?
Yes, I was going to say that. Yeah.
I mean, shit, man. Like, if you're a fairly elected official, but a cabinet is not an elected official. That's someone appointed by the president who is an elected official, but that's all an illusion of choice anyways. But if you have these people have real say in what's going on in our lives on a daily basis, not just, obviously if you want to make real change, do it on a local level, city, state, whatever. But these are passing laws. Like these are people. And so it's like, if you hold dual citizenship, that means that you have theoretically as much interest in one place as the other, is Israel to the U.S. So that kind of, I'm not saying you're totally sketchy. You might be a good person, but is that really someone we want making these decisions?
Running our country?
That's a little tough. That's a tough one right there. That's a tough one right there.
Yeah.
I have family from Italy and Sweden. I'd like to get my dual citizenship though, because. But where are you going to go right now? America's probably the place I'd like to be most right now. Canada they're under occupation, and they're just they're across the lines. Like it was funny. Like I saw a clip, but from what is it? Niagara Falls. You could see people in what is that? I can't remember what part of Canada that is, but in Niagara Falls, you see this clip where it's like. People, our friends in America, we need help, and they're literally doing SOS light signals across the water or whatever. Oh my God, man! You had Trudeau and the health advisor and the Canadian health advisors on air on TV saying, Canadians, this is your last warning. You will be stopped. Like, papers, please. Papers, please. Like they're
like checkpoints.
Yes. There are. If you fly into Canada, if you know your rights, more power to you. But if you fly into Canada, they have shut down a lot of the airports. There's only a few airports you can fly into, and you like funneling you in.
That's
just where it's a centralization of flow of traffic, if you will. Yeah. But it's you fly in Canada, and then you go to the government mandated hotel. You pay out of pocket, and then from there you quarantine yourself or whatever. And they're doing these PCR tests where the revolutions are high as hell, like up to like 40, which they want everybody testing positive at that level. Yeah. But and then from there, it's the police are enforcing it. So, I think there's a lot of bullshit going on socially. And I think you get a lot of bird dogging. You get a lot of this virtue signaling. And bird dogging is a new term I learned where it's like, where you're, kicking this dog through the fence, you're fucking with this dog, or, maybe go and spit on a police officer. And then they go to slam you on the ground and arrest you because it is illegal to spit on a police officer. And then, everybody around you films it, and then you start a GoFundMe, and you hit all the, the woke social justice.
Right, but the point when they're starting to hit record is after the provoking has already happened. Right, so it's like...
Right.
It's a skewed perception of what really happened.
Right. It's all perception. It's all optics. But so I think you're seeing a lot of that now, but by no means do I support this thin blue line bullshit, which protects, you have the fraternal order of the police. Like the police are a fraternal order. They protect themselves. What happens inside, stays inside. Yeah. And fuck that. Like, if you want to, I know like the Floyd stuff happened recently. We don't have to go into that. I don't know. I'm not touching that because I don't know enough. I like to understand.
Talk about what we know about.
Well, I mean, I like to. I need to understand what's going on first,
Yeah.
and I know like a lot of shit going on with that, and but I don't support that thin blue line stuff. I think it was Jocko Willink said, fire them all and make them earn their job back. And when it came to that stuff, yeah, and that's but that's kind of the case where it's like I mean, I think that you a lot of things should be improved on that end, but I think that we're like we said, we're living in a society where it's encouraged to be a victim.
Yeah,
and it's like
you're teaching that.
Like Sean King is a big example. You're seeing like Benjamin Crump, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all these ambulance chasers, for lack of a better word. Like it was the same thing with what happened in the 90s. In LA, Rodney King. It was the same with Rodney King. Al Sharpton showed up. These politicians like Joe Biden, they show up to these communities that are hurt, that are like
they're in deep pain. They're struggling with the reality.
Yeah, and you
loss,
you tell them you're a victim.
Grief. You're
a victim. You should be angry. You're oppressed. Maxine Waters. Yeah. I don't know how
they're riling up the energy that's already in. They're targeting the grief and the real emotions that people are feeling for these situations, and they're targeting that and manipulating it. They're putting their hand inside and twisting it and saying, do something about it. Do something about it. Get riled up. Fucking burn your city down. Like, that's what they're saying.
And that is one thing
it's not cool.
With that trial that just happened. That is one thing I did see with Maxine Waters, who she's like a congresswoman from California, a Democratic one. She went across state lines to Minnesota, and she's on a microphone saying some shit like, "Oh, if we don't get the verdict we want, which is guilty, we should not let up. We should, take to the streets. Get more confrontational."
Yeah, wasn't Nancy Pelosi saying some shit like that too?
Yeah, AOC too. They all say that shit to rile people up because dude, they want you afraid. They want you. It's. To get more into fascism, this works together because they want you afraid. They want you in a constant state of anxiety and fear, not knowing.
In crisis mode.
Well, and you spend more. That they've done these studies. Like you spend more money, and it's you eat more unhealthy food. You spend more money. Retail therapy, all that bullshit. Yeah. But like you spend more money, you make worse decisions.
Because it's like. It's like more the people in primal basic instinct rather than your higher consciousness deciding.
Sure. And just you make worse decisions, and with that you have a lot more people ending up in the criminal justice system. But yeah, and why do you think that Chase Bank cares about your social justice movement? It's the same shit, dude. This is all manufactured outrage, manufactured pain. I think what did Larry Gator say? It's the
greatest global cover-up in human history.
Well, but it's weaponized pain. This is all weaponized pain, because it's literally it is
a great way of thinking.
And dude, people die. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of interactions with police officers and people, black, white, Mexican, whatever, that happen all year, but you have these selected occurrences, and they are released at selected times. Okay. And in my opinion, this is me speaking, not her. Okay. This is me speaking. You have it. They're released at the certain times, and like these certain events happen, and they want you riled up. Like you turn on the TV, it's if it bleeds, it leads. Like I went to a broadcasting school. I had a news class. I had a journalism class, and that was like the number one thing. And you see it. It's what was his name? But it's like the Zen and the Art of Watching TV. There was this psychological study they did, but it was basically that they had I think it was like at Berkeley, I don't know, but they had these students watching television like critically, and it's like that shit puts you in a different state.
It is actually a brain frequency. I think it's delta frequency.
Interesting.
Or I'm pretty sure it puts you in delta state. If I'm not mistaken, it might be beta. It's been a while since I read that fact, but watching TV, watching this little thing, this little box with the visuals and the audio, puts you in a different state of mind. Literally, you're like relaxed in the couch, you're watching, you're very passive. That's the thing, is it makes you very passive. It makes you a passive observer, and what you absorb, you're more likely to believe that it's the truth, or like more likely to believe that like you don't have to question it. Like it's a very, very passive state, and it's intentional. It's very intentional that it's that way. That's true.
Well, and not only that, I mean, Anderson Cooper was a CIA intern, and he gets paid $900,000 to tell you the news. Okay, and then you have like Fredo. What's so Andrew Cuomo is the New York governor. What's his brother? Lil Cuomo, the dude on CNN, Fredo.
Yeah.
If we're talking about the Godfather, but I mean, if you want to talk about conflict of interest, I mean, CNN, the CIA news network.
James Cuomo.
No,
I forgot his name.
Whatever. I mean,
it doesn't matter.
Fuck them. But but that's it. And after the whole shit where Cuomo's being investigated for the sexual harassment,
the governor,
and the COVID shit, yes, and CNN, they had to make a statement because people complained. They literally wouldn't touch the story. They wouldn't interview him. Any of that kind of crap.
It's selective programming.
It is. It is. And well, and I mean that's the cable news network. I mean, if you're watching that shit, Fox News is the same end of the coin or other end of the coin, man. Don't get it twisted.
Two sides of the same coin.
Well, it's the same shit. I mean, but even did you see that leak where Project Veritas, they were this woman who posed as a Tinder date. She went on a Tinder date with he was the director of some. He's one of like director of content, one of those. He had a title, but he was like in charge of the content at CNN.
I didn't see that.
Oh God, and it's like a two parts. You know, these couple videos they released, but she had like a body cam on or something. Oh. But the guy's talking about it, and they're at a bar. You could see they're drinking, so it's alcohol.
They're feeling loosey goosey, and it's info's like, coming out.
Imagine her wearing a low cut shirt.
Oh yeah,
nothing gets people talk like that, but alcohol and boobs. Yeah. So it's like, but he's talking about it. He's talking about Trump. How he was talking about COVID, how that was like a gold mine for ratings. Like he's like, we have never had anything that good for ratings since Trump, since COVID, because people are like addicted to trauma. Like they love it. I don't know why, but people love it. Hey, who hasn't been guilty of it? Who doesn't sit there and I don't know, man. Whatever.
I mean, it triggers our emotions and it makes us feel like. You know, we're feeling something.
Well, so and he even said
it's all programmed.
Well, and he even said, and like I'm not even going to get too deep into it because whatever. But he even said he's like, you know, what's going to be next is this climate agenda is going to be the next thing they're going to promote. So
keep your eyes out, folks. Keep your eyes out, folks.
Just wait. And I mean, like that's the next thing. Yeah. And I mean, it's already been in the like. The stream of consciousness for some time now.
Like a good decade at least.
When you have like the global elites fuck toy, Leonardo DiCaprio making movies about it, Greta Thunberg.
Oh, I love Greta.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
I did. I don't know much more. Like,
her parents should be ashamed of themselves.
Shit.
Really? She's like.
Oh, I thought she was cool.
No, she's like autistic and
nothing wrong with that.
Exactly, but you have these people who just like scooped her up and they were parading her around on TV and like to Davos and all this, and they're like having her read all this shit. She's a fucking tool.
Oh man, that's eye-opening to me. This is new information to me right now.
Feelings over facts. You get this little girl to tell you, how dare you? She's
talking to Trump directly. How dare you? I remember that video.
She's at Davos. I think it was Davos, but she's at this like World Economic Forum or Davos. And how dare you? I should be in school right now.
Yeah.
And it's like she's organizing the like.
Oh my God! Now that you're saying it, I'm like,
she was one of the people, and she's not organizing it, but she's reading the script they're giving her. And now she's like,
I memorized it really well.
Now she's like 18 and all that, but she was the one organizing all the. She got these like it was at like a bunch of different countries, but she got grade school kids to protest to get out of school, like to
I remember that.
Yeah, oh yeah, and then it's literally you have this like little girl, and it's like how could you not feel this little girl with
she just wants to be in school.
Oh God, it's so ridiculous. And then it's like, and then there was that whole thing where they're trying to lower the voting age to 16.
I don't think that's wise. I was an idiot at 16. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at 18. I'm sorry. Like, I wasn't trained to be I actually did learn critical thinking in high school. Thank you to my teacher in high school who actually taught me critical thinking. Like, that was props to him. but they don't do that much these days.
No, they don't. And
but I still didn't know what I was doing at 16. I couldn't have made a consciously aware decision of who to vote for. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
not.
yeah, you can drive. I don't care about that. But like, bro, you can't make decisions about the world. I mean, I'm all about giving voice to the youth. Like, I am supportive of giving voice to the youth and taking them into consideration, because what we're doing here affects the future. And like the way that these kids are getting raised right now in this state of crisis is like definitely going to affect them later in life. And like, we don't see that now. We don't think about that now because we're not thinking about the future. We're thinking about right now. And that's what kind of goes in hands with the vaccines and stuff.
Well, I think to go further than that, how do I word this without being polite? I don't give a shit what 16-year-olds say about anything at all. I don't care. But what I care less about is what 80-year-old people have to say. So I think as opposed to lowering the voting age, maybe you should like lower the age people can be politicians. Ooh. Why do we have the oldest president like ever right now? And then Trump was like, I don't know. He was old as shit. Why do we have like an 80-year-old person making these decisions? Why don't we? I mean, Rand Paul Candaceone's 2024. That's what I would love to see. Rand Paul is like is in his 40s, an actual doctor, a practicing doctor, and then Candace Owens. I mean, she's a fucking rock star. Not The Rock, and not another fucking actor,
not a celebrity.
And Joe Biden has been in. I mean, Pelosi too, Chuck Schumer, all these people. They've been in politics for 50 years. I mean, they haven't worked in you haven't had a job, so why am I listening to someone who's been sucking off the public teat, who's been getting paid off of my money to make decisions about what's going to happen for me? No, all they give a shit about is keeping that government check coming in for themselves. What I'm concerned about is, what I'd like to see in a politician, maybe a business owner, maybe someone who invents things. A business owner would be great. Andrew Yang, until he had me fooled all the way. I mean, he had me fooled for a while. Yeah, that billionaire, but that UBI, man.
Yeah, man.
And he's going to be the mayor of New York City.
Who doesn't like free shit, right? But like at the end of the day, it's not free because someone's paying for it, and it's probably you. It's probably you. I mean, that shit ain't free.
I mean, just like this big infrastructure plan where it's just like Biden's talking about this COVID relief infrastructure plan where, it's going to, I don't, who cares how much money? It's probably all a lie too. But it's going to be all these like trillions of dollars infrastructure plan. It's going to go to bridges, this, that. Yeah, likely. Like I'm from Michigan. I remember Kwame Kilpatrick. Okay. No, what's going to happen is all that money's going to come in, taxpayer dollars. And then, they're going to, bring in these corporate contracts, and all this money is just going to go somewhere. It's the same shit that happened, with the war in the Middle East. Like, you had these corporate contracts, these no-bid contracts that went in, and we just had billions and billions of dollars, trillions probably spent on God knows what. Well, at that point, we destroyed the country, and then we hired these corporate entities, crony capitalist entities to come in and rebuild Iraq and shit. I don't know.
Like who are you talking about, kind
of? Dick Cheney was the vice president under George W. Bush, and then come to find out he was actually CEO, or he like stepped down from Halliburton. It was the name of the company. So it was like so you get
what was Halliburton involved with?
They're just like a building company. Okay. So you came in and bombed the shit out of Iraq, and then hired Halliburton to come and rebuild it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy crap.
Fascism, baby.
Yeah. Okay. I want to we keep coming back to this term, and I think it's so
also
interesting.
Sorry for bouncing around. This is a stream of consciousness show.
You know how it goes.
And we're drinking beer, so.
Yeah, just a couple. We're not getting too crazy, but we are loosening up, so the ideas are flowing. But we do have lots of notes here, so like we are on track in some sense of the word. But really, like I the word fascism keeps coming up, and I think it's very important to you already defined what it is, but like I found it interesting that like I never threw the word around, or I never threw the word around because I didn't fully know what it meant, because everybody around me, all the sources that I was seeing in the world, even people that were just in my life or whatever, social media like was saying that fascism is this, fascism is that, blah blah blah. Pretty much it was so skewed. At one point I was like, what the fuck even is fascism anymore? Like everybody's making it mean different things to their own context of what they're trying to say. So like, you want to call it fascism. Fascism is a bunch of racists, white supremacists in America, and Nazis, and blah blah blah. It's like, bro, do you even know what you're saying? Like, these are, like you said, word magic. It matters what words are coming out of your mouth if you're trying to prove a point. So like, to throw around these big words that mean something that you're not even acknowledging the depth of the meaning of the true meaning is very dangerous territory to be spreading information on. Just saying. I just want to say that.
Well, I mean, even to stay on that topic, I'd really recommend anybody, if you like to understand a little more on what we're talking about now, I'd really recommend James Corbett altogether. The guy's, he just had his YouTube channel taken down, but CorbettReport.com, and one thing in particular, which is still up, he made, I don't remember the year, probably 2009 maybe, but he made a film, How Big Oil Conquered the World. He made it for the History Channel.
I'm putting that in the link on the description.
Oh, it's great. It's like an hour. It's a really easy read or watch. Important. But it goes pretty in depth talking about Rockefeller and a lot of that. Well, we go in talking about Standard Oil and a lot about how it relates to today. But when we talk about fascism, one thing I want to note is so we saw. Standard Oil and alcohol prohibition was a really interesting thing to me. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I was learned was alcohol prohibition was just because, I don't know, let's stop having people get drunk. And you had the temperance movement. When propaganda is such a wonderful tool for evil shit, man. And like Edward Bernays, also check out Propaganda.
The father of propaganda, Edward Bernays.
I think he's a nephew of Sigmund Freud. Yeah. And but he wrote a book, Propaganda, and he worked for the federal government. It was actually his idea.
American federal government?
Yeah, back in like World War II time. But it was actually his idea to change the name to the Department of Defense instead of the Department of War. Just make it sound a little better, and give it a hug. Yeah. But Bernays, it was actually his idea also to they weren't selling enough cigarettes, so they called them freedom sticks, and they got some of the more influential women's groups of the time. I think it was like in the 20s or something like that. They got the more influential women's groups to they do all these parades, like Thanksgiving Day Parade, Macy's Day Parade. But at the time they had this parade, and you had all these like smoking hot chicks looking all fabulous and all these great outfits.
Their sunglasses and their great outfit. Yeah. Success, the image of success, right?
And so it's like they're doing this parade, and then out of nowhere they just stop, get everyone to look over, and then they just bust out some cigarettes, and they call them freedom sticks, and it was very much like,
make it look cool.
The men aren't going to hold me down. I can smoke my own cigarettes, And so, but this was the propaganda, and like it was the same kind of tool used in the time of the alcohol prohibition, in my opinion, and where you saw the temperance movement. That's what I learned in history books in grade school was they saw I think one ad I saw was like the lips that touch alcohol will never touch ours and shit like that. Yeah, but so, and that all tied into, they were making cars that could run off of alcohol. Yeah. So we can't have that around. And also at the same time, they had electric cars on the market well before that.
I didn't even realize until I watched that documentary. I was like, oh, they made electric cars before they made combustion cars.
Electric cars, electric rail systems, electric trolleys. It was all going on. And so Standard, and one thing I found interesting. So Standard Oil, that's your, was that Rockefeller, I think? Yep. Yeah. It's so
John D. Rockefeller.
Yeah. And so one of the biggest things I took away from that was, so we're in Michigan, and Motor City, whatever. Like this whole shit is like founded on cars. Everybody's got a car. Yeah. But that sort of came out of, before what I'm about to say. Everybody was public transit was the thing, and so but they literally spent, and this was a $400 million operation in, was it 1920? So I can only imagine what that is today. It was like a $400 million operation to run trains and trolleys everywhere around to get people everywhere. And at the time, Detroit was bigger than New York City. It was one of the biggest economic hubs, maybe in the world. I don't know. But I know in the country, bigger than New York City, bigger than Los Angeles, Chicago, all that. And we had the birth of the interstate highways out of this, because you had Standard Oil, Firestone Tires, and General Motors all colluded together to form National City Lines, which was basically a front organization, but they sort of pinned this as like a smiling public transit organization where they funded it and ripped up all the rail lines. They destroyed all the public transit in order to start with these like gasoline oil combustion engine buses. So you had Standard Oil fueling these, General Motors building them, and Firestone Tires with the tires on it. And that obviously they worked with the government to ban alcohol, the government to ban the electric cars, to have everyone on these combustion engine buses. And then you obviously saw Henry Ford come in with the Model T, cars started to come about. So that would not have happened had that not be for the corporate government fascist state making it happen. But you're not going to hear that.
No,
like, dude,
that's not what they teach.
Well, it's literally like you can drive, like there's murals in Detroit where it's, celebrating. And hey, man, I love Michigan. I think it's a great place, but it is so funny. Like you won't understand any of it. You don't know that, but they're going to rewrite history by, we need to change the name of Cobo Hall because he was a racist, or we need to rip down,
all these statues.
I mean, fuck Christopher Columbus, but we need to take down all these statues. But and you're still seeing the like Rockefeller Center in New York. You're still seeing all this Rockefeller medicine and all that. And I mean, you're seeing Bill Gates following that model today.
Yeah.
Well, it was really interesting. Rockefeller, and I mean, this was Standard Oil and all this. He accrued more money than anybody at the time, richest guy in the world, and everyone hated him because he was just a rich old Mr. Burns.
He wasn't sharing any of the wealth.
He was like Mr. Burns. He was this old lizard looking asshole. And then so he got this PR team to they're like, dude, you need to, everybody hates you, and like all in the you would see all these old newspaper articles and these like posters,
these old drawings.
He looked like the octopus and all this shit.
Hydra.
And so, but he
squeezing out the life of every American citizen.
It's true, and that was the like they were just running like every industry because of this. Because I mean, look around everything in this room, everything around you is run on oil. Is run even the medicine came from that shit.
Yeah, plastics.
And it was around that same time where they Rockefeller got into medicine. Well, so first he gets this PR team. And so they have all these campaigns, like there's all the pictures of him giving out dimes to like poor people. Yeah. He's like riding on a plane with Amelia Earhart, and I mean, now he's like the lovable rich guy and all this shit, And then who
does that sound like?
Bill Gates is following the exact Rockefeller model to a T. Well, I mean, his dad
to a T. Sorry.
Oh, it's great. Well, and then you had like the Flexner brothers, who Rockefeller hired to. One of them got into education. One of them got into medicine. And when I say got into the education system, was John D. Rockefeller founded the University of Chicago. It was like the first big, like public university of the time. Huh. And so, but what do you do then? Now you have to get everybody to want to go there. Yeah. So you tout this as like the next big. This is how you better education,
higher education.
Yeah, totally. And then okay, we build this school, and then let's dump a bunch of money into it as far as like trusts and grants and shit. And then so we're gonna give you like $450 million, whatever. But all we want to make sure you're using it correctly. Yeah. So do you mind if we put a few people on your board? Well, sure, man. Why not? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
We want to make sure our money's being spent wisely, is what they said, right?
And then and then it just blossomed from there. And so now you're in control of.
They infiltrated the education system.
Right. And then on the other end, you had the other Flexner brother, where he got into the medicine end, and so you had these like huge campaigns where they just any form of Eastern medicine, any
like
form of
homeopathic, naturopathic,
nutrition based. Yeah. It was all quackery. And these same elites, you can read in their journals, they didn't use fucking vaccines. These same people, they were naturopathic. Rothschild, Rockefellers, they were naturopathic. They were man, but that shit doesn't make any money.
Right.
Even right now, like
because anybody can grow the stuff,
Well,
like
can't reefer madness, sure, but.
Well, even like the natural herbs and stuff that actually cure things, like they made it sound like it's all a bunch of mumbo jumbo woo woo shit when it's really the cure. Like And that's how they turned the world to pharmaceuticals. And because they started educating the people that were going to those colleges, they started changing the medicine programs from like this naturopathic stuff to only teaching about pharmaceuticals. So anybody that was going to be a doctor for school, going to school to be a doctor, was only learning that pharmaceuticals are the only way to cure things. You have to do it this way. This is the only way. And that tainted our whole system of, that's where we are now. And that when that was made clear to me, I was like, oh my God, dude, that's how it happened. I get it now.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And I think what's worse than that is, I don't think it was really the case then, but I think you see that now where it's like organized mafia, like the university system, where it's like you have children, I mean, or I guess young adults at that time, graduating college. Okay. And I mean, I firmly believe like we're in the world where you don't need college. I mean,
agree.
Go to college if you know what you want.
Yeah.
Engineer, lawyer, doctor. We need all those things still. But if you're just going to get your gen eds, hey man, I took out a student loan to take a women's studies class because I thought that's where the girls were. Okay. Now, like this is what I'm talking about. You have these kids graduating college and saddled with 5-figure debt, sometimes 6-figure debt. That was one thing I did a few years in college, had 20 grand in debt for nothing. And then what? So you straddle these kids with all this debt. And then it's almost like, they have no choice. Now they have to...
They have to work to pay it back.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's... I mean, that's tough, man. But you're seeing that, and then it's just these like echo chambers in these universities, man. I think that's where you saw a lot of this like social justice stuff exploding, was in the universities, and people just thought it was like just some stupid shit that would fade out. Like a lot of these peer-reviewed studies, and well, I should say before that, like it's you have a lot of these professors. That's how they get tenure. Like once you get tenure, you have to be there for a certain amount of time, and when you get tenure, you can't get fired. Like it's sort of like you're locked in, and yeah, and it's. But that's where you have these echo chambers, like where these really liberal education. Like the safe spaces, like you have people like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, whether you agree with them or not. I mean, they get scheduled to come do a talk at a university, and then you have the whole woke community come in.
I can't stand the woke community.
They set off the fire alarms, or they just come out with blowhorns and shout people down.
Cancel culture is what that's about.
Yeah.
Cancel culture is woke culture. So if you're about that, I ain't about that. I'm sorry, but like, fuck that shit. We ain't about silencing people up in here.
The best way to fight bad speech is more speech, in my opinion.
Agreed. And going into kind of I want to let you finish.
Well, I mean, I guess just like I think how that relates today with like the Rockefeller model is look at our friend Bill Gates. He's literally doing the same thing.
Our friend.
And I'm sure
our loyal comment.
And he's not the top of the spectrum. Like there is, he's not a world banker, but he's up there, and he's a mover and a shaker. He's the one funding this Common Core crap. He's the one,
anywhere in the world, you can't get away from him.
Right. And that's
he's polluted the world with his presence.
Well, and that's he went from being this the whole Microsoft stuff where he was stealing software, or building the software that was giving people bugs, and even where did the software come from? His mother worked at IBM. His dad was on the board of Planned Parenthood with Margaret Sanger, which that I don't know how to feel about Planned Parenthood. I'm gonna say I have seen a lot where they have provided a lot of things for young women in the form of health. I mean, you could probably answer that better than I could.
Condoms, like that's always a good thing, right?
Well, one thing I do think is weird. It's like they call it family planning, but when is the last time anyone went in there and got any family planning advice?
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
This is where you go for your abortions.
Yeah. Contraceptive planning.
And that was I remember reading this. I remember on ABC at Channel 7, not crackpot conspiracy stuff. I remember seeing the story on ABC News where they had busted up a warehouse on the east side of Detroit, and it had all these walk-in coolers and huge freezers of body parts and shit. And then they tied that to same facility in Texas, and they tied one to Massachusetts and all this. Yeah, man. And then they tied it to Planned Parenthood, and it's
holy shit.
I don't know. And that's...
We're going to have to look into that one later.
I watched it on TV and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is this shit?
That's nuts.
Yeah, and what I mean, like Margaret Sanger founded Planned Parenthood, and like it was found in all like these I don't want to say underprivileged, but like these kind of like poor communities, and a lot of ties to eugenics, a lot of ties. She was an open member of the KKK. Like, I mean, it was no secret at the time, and
yeah, how Bill got his information, right? Like how he stepped into that much power in the first place.
Yeah, and his mom works for IBM.
Yeah,
IBM, and mind you, IBM is right now developing the Excelsior Pass in New York.
Yeah, what's the Excelsior Pass, real quick? We got a lot to talk about, but like let's go step by step.
Well, I mean, the Excelsior Pass is that is your vaccine passport, which is rolling out in New York right now, and it's being tied to the QR code and all that. So IBM is writing it. Well, I shouldn't say writing the code. They're kind of developing that on a on the user level. And but IBM, man, what's his name? But you can read the book IBM and the Holocaust. That's on my list. I need to buy that. But they made the punch cards that organized the Jews in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
That determined
IBM.
That determined what concentration camp the Jews were going to the Holocaust. So it's like, I mean, that's. I don't know.
Yeah, so they're making this vaccination passport now. That's like, right? Like to enter certain countries, you need this passport, right? Or is that what it is? How are they doing the vaccination?
Oh my God! If you want to go see the Yankees, you need
oh, so it's even nationally, like even domestically.
It's in New York, but I mean, it's what they say, man. Any real, any.
But I feel like that's gonna go global. Like I feel like that's gonna. I don't know. I don't want it to, but I feel like that type of shit. Its plan is to go bigger than just one state. And
I'm going to preface this. I'm not completely anti-vaccine, whatever, but I mean, like I'm hey, my body, my choice. I don't think anything should be mandated, period.
Right.
And if you want to do that, and also to extend on that, like I support anybody's right to be experimented on if you want it, but coercion is not consent. Coercion is not consent. I repeat, coercion is not consent, and I think that's what you're seeing now.
That's the virtual signaling.
Well, coercion in the sense of like you have Run DMC's washed up, whatever, the dude from Run DMC making a rap video cartoon targeting children. Go get your vaccine, yo yo yo. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, and like that's the shit. I mean, and then you're seeing this in children's programming where but I mean, we need to realize that none of these are vaccines in the traditional sense. This is all this is all like
genetic modification injection.
Sure.
Something like that.
And I mean, it's all experimental. And I'm not saying it's going to be, I mean, well, this was the plot to I Am Legend and World War Z or whatever it is. Yeah. This is the plot right now. So I'm not saying that's all going to happen, but it's like, come on, dog. The doctor. Oh, here's a little personal story. So I'm getting a physical a couple months ago. I'm in the doctor, tapping on your knee. Oh, breathe, okay, does this hurt? Whatever. And I'm just sitting there, you're sitting on the little raised up table, the guy in the white lab coat, this chubby little out of shape doctor. And excuse me, he's, we're talking about medicine stuff, and I'm, just making conversation. I don't know everything. Like I said earlier in this, that's what I'm learning these days is I don't know shit.
We're all learning here.
I'm in a very much a learning stage of my life, and that's where I'm at. And but this doctor, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, so what do you think of these the COVID vaccines? He's like, I think they're great. I think you should get it. Like soon. And I was like, well, what about any side effects? Don't worry about that. He's like, yeah, and your arm might hurt a little bit. Yeah, just get it. And he's like, well, and hopefully we get these vaccine passes rolled out so we know who's been vaccinated. And I'm like, dude, like you can find this online. Go to the VAERS website that you can find the data. Well, it's just like, if you give every kid almonds in the world, there's going to be some kids who have an adverse reaction.
Allergies. Yeah. That's a great metaphor for this kind of vaccine. Is like,
well, even further than that, I'm sitting there talking to him, and like even that was a little like red flag to me. But I'm
very much. I'm looking. If he's saying don't question, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about the side effects.
Well, I'm looking around the room, and it's all just posters of want to quit smoking, take this drug from Pfizer. Want to lose weight, take this drug from whatever. Can't sleep at night, take this other drug. It's like, so I'm in this doctor, and I mean, we need doctors, 100%. If I break my leg, I'm going to the fucking ER.
Yeah.
But that, where it's Edward Bernays, it was his idea to put a guy in a white lab coat and people will trust you more.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Like that is super sketchy to me, and it's just it's very much this. Trust the science. We're living in a cult society right now. Okay, scientism is the new religion. Like to me, and this is me speaking, not Marissa.
Yeah.
Like this is, it's very much when you hear your friend or anybody say trust the science, and when you ask a question, you should that red flag should go up immediately, because like that is the most contradictory thing to science. Period.
Because what science does is the scientific method is test. It's first hypothesize, then test, and then theorize. Develop theories, and it's part of the scientific process to try and disprove other scientists' theories after they've been hypothesized and tested. So if people are saying don't question the science, it's like, bro, that's the scientific method. We are supposed to question. We are supposed to try to prove it wrong, and if we can't, then it must be the way it is. And but without questioning it, you're just following along. And I don't know, that's not very scientific to me, bro.
Well, Tuskegee, all we have to mention is the Tuskegee experiment. I mean, that was the big thing. And
the syphilis experiment.
Well, and that's, just that, like, why? Oh, and all we have to do is like look at the criminal. All of these vaccine companies are felons. Like Johnson & Johnson, there was asbestos in their baby powder, and Moderna has never they have never had a vaccine pass. None of these
pass animal trials.
Well, none of these are passed are passed by the FDA, and I don't trust the FDA either. Yeah. But all they are is passed for extreme emergency orders. That's why nobody wants to talk about the therapeutics. That's why nobody wants to talk about anything else but the vaccines, because the only way you get emergency funding. You get emergency authorization is there isn't any other option. So
if you don't discuss the other options, then there's only one, right?
There you go. Now, if there's no other option, then this vaccine must be the only option. But if you have no other option, then the vaccine is the only choice. And so it's like they haven't passed any animal trials.
No, it needs to be rung loud and clear, and louder for the people in the back. Like. It has not.
Well, and again, I'm not telling anyone they shouldn't get shit. It's like if you're old, hey man, I get it. You're afraid, and but
we're here the reason why we're here right now talking about all this is to kind of open the doors, open your eyes, open your ears to some of the red flags that we see in the world, and some of the points that we have connected through this maze. All the dots that we've seen are very connected, and it's so widespread. It's so spread out. Like everything is connected though. So it's like to keep track of it all is kind of hard. But that's why we're here, dude. To keep score.
Well, it almost like feels to me the COVID-19, the pandemic, whatever. It almost seems like this was used to get to the vaccines, because this is shit. This isn't anything new. And if you want to talk about
the last step is to get inside your body. Right?
I agree.
They put everything all around you. The last step is to get inside you.
And why isn't anybody asking what is in this? And I'm not even touching, nanotechnology, but that's what it is. Yeah. They are working on microchips. They are doing that. And
that's a fact.
You can't deny that. They've been working on that since before this shit.
Yeah.
So it's like,
for decades.
I'm not even going to touch that, because you're just going to people just call me a crazy person, but
whatever. We're not scared of the term conspiracy. We embrace that shit. Okay.
Well, the term conspiracy theorist, which I mean everybody knows this by now, but that
hopefully.
Well, that
can't assume though.
Well, that term was coined after the JFK assassination for people who were looking into it. That term was coined by the CIA to demonize anyone who was questioning anything.
And that goes to our point of anything that's telling you not to question.
Nothing to see here.
Like I said before, is not of the light. Question that shit. Always. So what's next? Oh, wait. We were talking about, really quick, I want to round this point out. We were talking about how Bill Gates got all of his access to pretty much the source code and all that stuff that he made for Microsoft and how he got placed into that position. Remember? He was chosen. He
was sued by Apple and Steve Jobs for that. What was that for stealing stealing software? Yeah. So it's like that was all anybody knew of that guy. He was like this. He was a shrewd businessman. Yeah. And mind you, Bill Gates is not a medical doctor. Bill Gates is not an epidemiologist. Bill Gates is telling you medical advice
all the time.
He's profiting off this. And mind you, he has invested, I think, like $10 billion. It was the decade of vaccines.
Yeah.
Go watch that movie. Meet Bill Gates. James Corbett.
I'll put it in the link.
James Corbett is a fucking G.
I'll put the link in the description.
But that's
a must watch.
In like 2010, he linked up with what was it? I think Gavi. And so he's developed all these like
research institute, right?
Yeah. Yes, they were researching vaccines, but he's poured tens of billions of dollars into this stuff, and everyone's sucking his dick like, oh,
they're like, oh, thank you, you're donating so much money, do it again.
Oh, like, oh, your philanthropy. He's a full on rapist. He's a philanthropist. Like he's like your
philanthropist,
but your philanthropy has done even more, surpassed what you've done in Microsoft. Save your Bill Gates, But it's like,
he ain't no savior.
I mean, if he's dumped tens of billions of dollars into this, but he's made his money back like
tenfold.
Yes.
His net worth doubled during the pandemic. I'm pretty positive.
I mean, he's banned in like Uganda, and I mean, there's only he's one of I think 2 people that are on the blacklist of Russia. And say what you want about Putin, but Bill Gates is not allowed in Russia.
Yeah.
And dude, in India,
he made it India as guinea pigs, and that's not cool.
Oh,
and then in Africa too, and like everybody's fucking with Africa, and I'm not cool with it. Why?
Well, it's and to speak more on the propaganda, there was someone I'd speak on the university system, which I think is just it's so sad to see, but excuse me, someone I know. A young person, he's in college, and we're having dinner recently, and I'm just inquiring. I haven't been around that college age for some time now, so I was just hey, how's school going? What kind of classes are you in? What are you guys studying? He's like, oh, we have a journalism class. I'm like, oh, that's cool. What do you guys get into? Oh, this class is how to read the news. I was like, oh, great. Yeah. Okay, so. What's up? He's like, oh yeah, we just had to take a news article and talk about what we think it means, who wrote it. I don't know. Basically analyze this news article. What'd you do? So he's like, yeah, I took this New York Times article. They're talking about what's going on in Africa right now. I'm like, okay, what's going on in Africa right now? Oh, they were just talking about farming. So I was like, dog, no. Like, I'm like, I think it was the guy's birthday, so I'm not about to just go all red pill on him. I'm like, dude, kids are crippled. That has been the vaccine guinea pigs for this past decade.
Yeah.
And excuse me, whether it's the polio vaccine they came with gave people polio. The Gardasil vaccines they were using on people, like people, man,
gave them HPV.
It's very sad. It's very sad. And that's the trust of science. People I know people are outsourcing their thinking these days. It's scary. This is scary to come to terms with this. To really grab hold of your power. It's scary. It's because and even to speak up. Maybe you don't agree with some things.
Right, because of social acceptance.
To question and I know somebody who was in media and literally talking about being on sets, can
relate to that.
Being in those environments where. Everybody, it's all the same programming. It's all the same Orange Man bad. It's all the same, lesser of two evils. Yeah. And I'm sorry, if that's the rhetoric, bro, you got more problems than anybody's going to talk about.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm trying to find something on what. Oh yes, I mean, do you want to talk about some like I think it was Dark Winter, Crimson Contagion, Event 201.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh.
So I'm gonna read.
Yeah,
I hate to just read something on air, but if you don't mind me just reading something,
that's cool. If it's valuable information, we need to hear.
This is from the event. Okay.
First, let's talk about it. Does it describe what Event 201 is?
Well, I want to talk about like the Event 201 scenario website. Event 201 simulates an outbreak of a novel zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats to pigs to people that eventually becomes efficiently transmissible from person to person, leading to a severe pandemic. The pathogen and the disease it causes are modeled largely on SARS, but it is more transmissible in the community setting by people with mild symptoms. The disease starts in pig farms in Brazil, quietly and slowly at first, but then it starts to spread more rapidly in healthcare settings. When it starts to spread efficiently from person to person in low-income, densely packed neighborhoods in some of the megacities in South America, the epidemic explodes. It is first exported to travel by air travel to Portugal, the U.S., and China, and then to many other countries. Although at first some countries are able to control it, it continues to spread and be reintroduced, and eventually no country can maintain control. There is no possibility of a vaccine being available in the first year. There is a fictional antiviral drug that can help the sick, but not significantly limit spread of the disease. Since the whole human population is susceptible during the initial months of the pandemic, the cumulative number of cases increases exponentially, doubling every week. And as the cases and deaths accumulate, the economic and societal consequences become increasingly severe. The scenario ends at the 18-month point with 65 million deaths. The pandemic is beginning to slow due to the increasing number of susceptible people. The pandemic will continue at some rate until there is an effective vaccine or until 80 to 90% of the global population has been exposed. From that point on, it is likely to be an endemic childhood disease. Wow. It's almost as if they knew exactly what was going to happen before it happened, even down to the part where they discussed the problem that disinformation spreading through social media about possible cures would surely become a danger and would have to be stopped. Information about this event can be found on their website, centerforhealthysecurity.org. That was from the Event 201 website. So this is not the first time we've seen this, but there's these like tabletop games. They gave out coronavirus plushies at like little stuffed animals at this thing. And so we have to wonder like who is involved in this kind of Event 201 scenario.
Yeah, so what exactly was Event 201? There's a couple things I want to touch upon that you just talked about that are extremely relevant to what we're seeing right now in our day-to-day. But
Right.
What exactly was Event 201? Was it a table talk amongst a group of people?
Right. Event 201 scenario in 2019.
October of 2019,
Yep.
this happened.
It was run by Thomas Inglesby and the Johns Hopkins Center, and this is the same organization that was involved in the intentional infection of Guatemalan orphans with syphilis from 1945 to 1956.
Intentional.
Both Johns Hopkins University and the Rockefeller Foundation were sued $1 billion by the victims for their role in the non-consensual experiment.
Non-consensual experiment.
Now, what Event 201 simulated in 2019 was a coronavirus outbreak that spread from bats to pigs to people, starting in tightly packed megacity and spreading through airplane travel all over the world, leading to a severe pandemic where a vaccine would have to be created in order to gain control over the situation.
Interesting.
Now,
but who was at this table?
Right. So, excuse me. Now, we have to ask who was involved. Now, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Johns Hopkins Center for Health and Security, and the World Economic Forum, as well as the CDC, the Chinese CDC, the CIA, Big Pharma, and the big banks.
That's a lot of important people, y'all.
Now, that's just something to talk about Event 201. Now, you can look at smallpox, anthrax. They were also some tabletop events. So we could talk more about...
I would like to talk about the corona one, though.
Yeah.
It's relevant as fuck.
Exactly. And so you can find these videos streamed online. They streamed it live. This was held by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Johns Hopkins University. And mind you, also the Johns Hopkins, the Center for Health Security. That was also the same organization in charge of giving us the death count Now, do you remember seeing on CNN they had the death ticker? Like, what the fuck is that?
It's
how
so
dark
bizarre.
and what kind of like
we're like in the dark ages again.
What kind of horror movie is that where our cable news network has a death toll on there? That's what that's
the stuff that you watch every day. That's the stuff that you want to keep plunging your consciousness into. Like, why? I'm sorry.
It's all about that state of fear, man.
Yeah.
Well, and that right there, that just goes to show. I mean. And they took the death ticker off when Joe Biden got elected. That's another. That's beside the point.
Oh, great. Everything's fine now. You don't have to.
But so okay, I get it. To play a little devil's advocate here. Yeah. I get it. You want to be prepared. So theoretically, you'd be like, man, that'd be great if we can just have all these really smart people sitting down and being like, hey, if this happens, let's be prepared.
Yeah, idealistically.
So the same thing happened, and it happened in Brazil. Okay, that's the only thing different from what actually happened. They're talking about how there's going to be, fake news. Media is going to come out and say this and that and this and that. And there's going to be drugs that come to the table, therapeutics, hydroxychloroquine and zinc, which is going to be demonized and say, oh, it doesn't work. Everything from how they're going to shut down things and how it's going to affect economically, socioeconomically.
And the 18 months till we get a vaccine. How many people did you hear on the news presidentially, like politically saying, Justin Trudeau, President Trump, who else? A lot of people across the globe were saying this. Oh, it's going to take 18 months till we get a vaccine. Or no, sorry. The coronavirus, we won't get through it until for 18 months until a great vaccine comes out. Verbatim is just what
Operation
I heard.
Warp Speed.
Yeah, I just heard that verbatim in this Event 201 description. Like, so was this their preparation for it, or were they planning for it? Like, were they planning to defend it, or were they planning to spread it? That's my question about this Event 201. Like, what are the true intentions of this meeting? That's my question. What do you think?
Well, that's what's really strange to me is you have to look at who's involved. And not only that, it's you have to look at how it literally it mirrored
and how it's played out.
It mirrored what's happening right now
directly.
And I think it's just too many people too many movers and shakers, too many people at the top, to where like too many times you hear people say, oh, it's just ineptitude. It's just, they fucked up. I mean, like, give me a break. How many times are you going to give the benefit of the doubt to your federal government? But I mean, what we saw coming out of COVID-19, it was like, it's really fucked up. Well, it's really interesting when you look at like the emergency powers granted to these governors, man. And our Big Gretch, our local governor, she's in the news recently. Like, so she obviously, we've had some of the strictest lockdown orders, period, in the country. Like us, New York, Massachusetts, California, etc.
California's been crazy too, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing that during the summer. Even the UP was closed, but it's like her husband's up there trying to get his boat launched, and then one like a local, he's like, oh, no, come on, the governor's husband trying to pull some weight. And mind you, also, why is it the state government is telling you can't be on a boat for because of COVID? You're out in the sun by yourself on your fucking boat. And but even on top of that, Whitmer was in the news.
They don't want you mobile.
Well, I just think they don't want you healthy. They don't want you in a good mood. They don't want you're in a good mental state. They don't want you outside. I mean, what was been the protocol this whole time?
Stay inside,
quarantine, don't be near people,
be in your own prison.
And I'm sorry, like the masks. Don't get me started on double masks. But the CDC even put out. They changed their numbers. They even put out. I was reading this on my buddy's birthday. So right around early March, they had changed their. Excuse me. They changed it on the CDC website. Go look. It's where they said if you like wearing a mask, I think it was like something. If you're under. I'm going to mess up by a couple like points of a percent, but if you're under 70, you're like 1.5% less likely to get COVID. And if you're and if you're over 70, you're like, if you're under 70, you're like 0.6%, more protected from COVID. If you're over 70, you're like 1.5% more protected from COVID by wearing a mask and all this shit.
The fuck?
They even lowered, it was 6 feet. Now it's like 3 feet. I'm like,
what? I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
oh, wow. But here's the thing is they keep changing the numbers. They keep changing the the mandate, I guess.
Oh, like moving the goalpost.
Yeah, and I just saw that Whitmer was traveling down to Florida. Like she said,
yeah.
nobody else could do.
Oh, and her response was, I didn't go to party. I went to go visit my dying father.
Yeah, but she
Go
told you,
fuck yourself.
literally, she told our whole state, you can't go visit your dying family, no matter where they are. You just can't. It's against Michigan mandate. It's against my executive order that you can go see your dying family. Like that's. But then she does it, just turns the tables, and it's so double standard. It's like.
Well, it's like her top assistant or her top aide. I don't remember the woman's name. You could find this story online. I found it on mainstream media. She was down hanging out in the Gulf, partying, spring break,
Literally partying.
And this was the person who was in charge of the COVID. You remember seeing that? Tim Pool was talking about it. This was the person in charge of the COVID protocols. Yeah. So this is the person who was supposed to be like relaying the information to us, and they're telling you stay home, stay inside.
Don't travel. Don't be mobile.
And her shit's all over like Instagram, like because she's young. She was young, 20s, and she's down at Instagram partying with the homies. And who wouldn't want to? I went to Florida, and I went to Texas. Like nobody.
I went to Florida too.
The government's not going to tell you to go back to living your life. Like Rahm Emanuel, former mayor of Chicago, Barack Obama chief of staff, was famously quoted as saying, "Never let a good crisis go to waste."
Oh, yeah, that was my next point.
The most you can get the most the most governmental shift can happen under wartime, and that's why. Trump was a chaos candidate, and don't get it twisted. He remember him saying, "I am the wartime president." Like he embraced it fully. That's why Operation Warp Speed happened. Like, I mean, come on, this is all emergency orders.
Yeah, I think that being in crisis mode. I think we maybe touched on this a hair earlier, but like. When you're in crisis mode, you get this fight or flight response, right? And you're more likely to seek out assistance or like guidance outside of yourself. And typically that comes in the form of government assistance, and like how everybody's on unemployment right now, and like just like banking off welfare. Like I'm not gonna lie, that's supplementing my income. I'm not gonna lie, just because I'm taking advantage of the system that's taken advantage of me my whole life. So like, I mean, whatever. But like, this crisis state. Like, don't waste a good crisis. Like that speaks volumes to me. Like I remember in college in my producing class, like, cause I went to school for film, right? And I took a producing class, and the first day of class, we watched the movie Wag the Dog.
Nice.
And I like never heard of that before. It was a movie made in the 80s. And if you haven't heard of it, haven't seen it, fucking go watch it, because it literally paints to you a picture of how the American government can link up with Hollywood producers to manufacture a crisis and make the whole country believe that it's true. In this movie, they literally manufactured a war that wasn't going on like at all.
Yeah.
But they filmed it, and they put in these like actors to like gain public opinion and like steer public opinion of like, oh, this is going on, and when it never was, and the whole public believed it. And it just shows you that how much you could take advantage of people in a state of crisis. That's my point.
Well, to go further than that, once you don't have control of your power, I mean, well, that's also, I'm not a very religious person. I'm not like a practicing Christian. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But one thing I have noticed that where I see people who have really handled this the best throughout this are people with a lot of faith. People with, and whether it's the Christians, whether it's the fucking Amish, whether it's
spiritual faith is like.
Well, yeah, and call that whatever you want. But one thing, like you look at communist China, there is no religion. Statism is the religion. That's like, look at any of these, like Stalin, like look at these communist countries. Like there is no religion. That's stamped out, because you are supposed to look to the state to
Statism is
to make the choices. Now, when you have power could come in a lot of forms, and a lot of like the faith-based folks, that they find their power through their faith, and I think that's great. And throughout this whole time, you can go to the strip clubs, you can go to the liquor store, but you can't go to church. You know, that's literally
Ain't that some low vibrational shit? Ain't that some low vibrational shit?
Well,
Sorry.
yes.
I mean, as we're drinking beers, but hey.
Oh, hey man, I support
we're on a mission here, okay? We're doing two things at once. we have an excuse. Sorry, continue. I'm crossing off some notes so I don't get lost in it up in here.
No, I mean, no. That's really what it comes down to, because I think when people have a lot of faith, they tend to kind of look to themselves more. But that's really been the case over this whole year and a half. It's everybody looking to the fucking government to tell them, hey, what do I need to do? Tell me, Air Fauci. You know,
Air Fauci. Yeah. I hate that. I'm sorry, I don't hate, but like that guy really ticks me off.
He'll get his.
Yeah, everybody will get their karma.
They know what the hell they're doing. They all know.
They do. They got their own special place, and the special place that comes after this life.
Well, and to speak on that, I like the real problem. The real enemy of the people. Is mainstream media. And this is me speaking. The news, the mainstream media is worse than the pharmaceutical companies. You can say whatever the hell you want about the pharmaceutical companies, and fuck them. All them, Pfizer, Moderna, whatever. And
sorry, I just want to say Moderna, literally their name, Mode RNA. Just going to put that out there. Just going to put that out there and take it as
well. It makes sense because they were originally founded as a chemotherapy company, as a gene therapy company. Oh. And so they jumped into the space because this is a business move. Make a vaccines. That's the best thing you can do for your business right now. And actually Pfizer, I caught this recently. Look it up. I mean, I looked it up. They're paying out over $300 billion to the state of Oklahoma for their role in the opioid crisis over the past fucking decade. Like
crisis. Here's the word again. A hot word. Dude, literally every like. I don't know.
Keep going. I got.
It's like in the newspapers and the headlines and the, you know, what do you call it on the bottom of the news screen? What do you call that? Yeah, the ticker. Whenever you see the word crisis, it's supposed to keep you in fear. That's their agenda and the word, you know, because on our normal day-to-day basis, we're not really dealing with crisis mode, except for when it's put into our reality. So... you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, where am I going with this? Where are we going next? There's a lot. Like he was saying, that I find it interesting that like the faith-based people who are like strong in their faith are kind of dealing with this whole global crisis the best, because they know that like something good will come after this, but like who's to say what form it'll show up in until we make it ourselves, you know? Like it's about time we start shifting our paradigm that we're living in to one that, you know, is for our own good and standing in our own power than giving it away every day.
Well, one thing I know we've talked about before, and I know we wanted to get into, was transhumanism in general. But to you know, just one more thing on COVID is keep it simple. Like, and I'm very team human. That's where I'm living. And one thing we can always do, and this is something I found on the Daily Mail. Like, this is not like. How do I say this? Media. Well, pretty much. But these, look at these Amish communities in Pennsylvania. I just had to bring up this article. The headline is: Amish community in Pennsylvania becomes first in U.S. to achieve herd immunity after reopening churches led to 90% of households being infected with the virus last year. This is from March 28th, 2021. And really, what that boiled down to, like they're interviewing sort of like this go-between, because the Amish don't take any vaccines. We're talking about the Mennonite community and the Amish community in rural
America.
Yeah. Now, and these people, they're outside all day. Yeah. They're working together. They don't mask up. Yeah. They have church together. They worship together. They raise houses together. You know, I see those Amish together raising the houses. Yeah. They have large families. They're living together. They dine together. All this shit. There's no fucking. I mean, and I'm sure in the very beginning maybe they were afraid as well. But I mean, once logic
figured
hit,
it out,
well,
yeah.
dude, and I saw it was like a clip from an interview where this female news reporter is interviewing a Mennonite fella, and she's asking him like about this. She's like, "Oh, why has COVID-19 not ravaged your community as much as this?" He's like, well, "We don't have any TVs." And like that's it, like, and that's what it's come down to, like
oh my god, I just had a realization come to me. It was like, your TV is the virus, is the source of the virus.
Now,
I'm sorry, but that's where the fear is coming from.
This is Plain Community in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. They became the first to achieve herd immunity. Yep, herd immunity. Alan Hoover of the Parochial Center said that 90% of the households became infected with the virus when they resumed church services late last spring. As Hoover observed, faith in herd immunity prompted members of the community to relax on key mitigation efforts such as masking and social distancing. It is unknown whether achieving herd immunity in 2020 would be beneficial now. But, so you think if COVID was as contagious as they say, it would go through like a tsunami, and it did. And old public health officials and epidemiologists did not dispute the widespread outbreak. But they voiced concern that a misplaced perception of herd immunity in a population that makes up 8% of Lancaster County may compromise their effort to turn the tide on the pandemic.
AKA, what is it? What's the word? Flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve, yeah. 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Oh, what a joke. What a joke.
Yeah, and so I mean, this is basically they're saying like they were like these 6 infectious disease experts with whom Lancaster Online spoke. They expressed unease with the reliance on the notion the Plain community had achieved herd immunity, and they pointed out in this case past infections and existing antibodies may provide limited protection. Herd immunity is only true at a given point in time. The collision of...
So I guess the point is like this group of people came together and logically were like, we don't believe in this nonsense, and they ended up being fine.
Well, and that's basically what I'm gathering from this is this all ran out rampant last year. Okay, they did the thing of social distancing and whatnot, and then once it got to the point where they realized everyone was stabilized, they got back to normal. And the experts are saying they expressed their unease, but I mean, look it up. Like, they've been fine. This is like this.
Sorry, you're uneasy about it, but that's the truth.
I mean, given this is, it was a month ago. I was reading this, so it could be different now. Yeah. But I mean, look into it. But
yeah, it's interesting, definitely to bring up. I mean, those are the people that are living the simple life. You know, like you said, they're not watching the news. They're not like. Why don't you have fear? Because we don't watch that shit. We don't watch the fear mongering people. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, what's worse than that?
I don't either.
I mean, what I gathered from that is they're living actively. They're outside, getting that vitamin D, their nutrition,
growing their own food, et cetera, whatever they do. Shout out to all you Amish people who aren't watching this.
I mean, I don't know, man. COVID's everywhere, and it's ruining our lives. So I mean, it's kind of it is.
But that's if you give it that much power.
Yeah. You are.
It doesn't have to ruin your life.
You're in control of the simulation.
That's the key.
And to speak on simulation, now we can really touch on transhumanism because
let's go there. Let's go there.
Excuse me.
We're 2 hours in. It's time to go there.
Well, it feels.
It's time. Well, I think they're ready.
It feels to me like do you think that's the ultimate goal? And if it is, what do you think that means?
Yeah. So from what I've gathered, oh my goodness. From what I've gathered, okay, how do I put this into concise, clear terms? The agenda at large, let's call it the globalist agenda, we call them the global elites, the people that have the most power figures, power structures, control over certain industries, and mostly all the industries that we live with on our day-to-day basis, like the Rockefeller family, the Rothschilds, the Gates, those types of characters, the people in power, or so they say, are backing this agenda for pretty much eugenics in terms of it's like modified survival of the fittest. I don't know how else to put it. Like that, like Darwinism and all that, like that feels like more like almost like on a natural basis, like natural law. But what they're trying to do with these gene therapy techniques with the vaccines, quote unquote, I can't call it a fucking vaccine. I'm sorry, I'm just not. But that's what everybody knows it as, so that's what I'm referencing it as. But like these injections, these jabs, these shots that they're giving to people, and these experiments, these non-consensual experiments that we're going through, are not what they seem to be. You know, and these people are not what they seem to be promoting. Like these philanthropists out there, these billionaires with their philanthropic missions to save the world. The world doesn't fucking need saving. I'm sorry, but like these people that you're trying to like go into their communities, like in Africa, in India, in you name it. Where else are they doing it? They're probably doing it all over the place. But like they're going into these companies, giving them all these injections, pharmaceuticals, et cetera, et cetera. They're going in with these even the agriculture business, like they're fucking up countries' soils, so that like it's like a short-term thing for at least the agriculture. So like they'll promise, you know, oh here we are. I kind of went off on like way different tangents there, but pretty much they're trying to control and
that's okay.
change the human genome.
Well, it almost feels to me. So it almost feels to me like the vaccines are part of this to be in control of your health. Now to hook you up to a grid or whatever. Because and what I mean by that is you hate to go predictive programming, but I was watching Idiocracy the other day, and
I need to rewatch that. That's a good one.
That's when Luke Wilson he gets out of the time machine pod, and they see. Where's your tattoo? You don't have a tattoo. And they scoop them up, and, you know, because they have all your records, medical information.
Barcode tattoo.
Yeah.
Scan your tattoo. It's your social credit system, right? Well, not social, but it's your credit system.
Well, yes. I mean, in that case, no.
I'll let you continue.
Well, in that case, no, but that's to be even more realistic. You're seeing that in China, where it's that's more so on your cell phone and your QR code, where if you're a bad boy and post something against the government on Facebook, well, whatever the equivalent is, then you won't be able to. You won't be able. Yeah, you won't be able
access.
to. Or you're smoking the cigarette on the on the subway transport or on the platform. They can literally use facial recognition software and then sync up to your cell phone, and just your available funds and your UBI is taken away, or you can't board a plane, or and anyone who associates with you, their social credit score goes down as well. Yeah, but I think your
access.
But I think more importantly, like Neuralink. I mean, people look at Elon Musk like he's saving. No, man, he's one of these elite fellas too. And I mean, I'd like to think, hey man, I'm a little more. I feel a little better than I do, with others. But I mean. I don't trust him either.
No, very sus.
But with the Neuralink and stuff, like it's all being advertised. You can listen to him on Joe Rogan, and it's like, man, that's cool. I want that also. I want that. I want Neuralink. But you think that's for you and me? No, man. That's for the rich and the powerful. Like I think that what you're seeing right now, as far as like they're trying to be in control of your medical records, like there's no privacy anymore.
That is
But that's just for herding cattle. That's just to keep
track.
Yeah. But as far as like you can look at, you remember like Sophia the robot, like you can look at like the development of the like artificial intelligence. Like I think that's more geared towards the AI.
Yeah.
Like it's more so like CRISPR. Like CRISPR is already well underway for. I mean, you want to talk about eugenics? That's well underway to be in control of the children you have, or you can edit your DNA of the children you'll have.
Yeah.
But that's even like so we all understand the Sophia robot that was like Ex Machina. Remember that movie?
Yeah, I love
that. That shit was crazy as hell. But it's like that was in 2017. They gave the Sophia robot citizenship in Saudi Arabia. Like there's been
can she vote?
Well, I find it,
citizens vote.
I find it darkly hilarious that the rest of the women in Saudi Arabia don't have any rights and can't drive cars and can't vote, but this robot does. But But yeah, and that's created by Hanson Robotics. But you know, it's like fucking crazy because you can watch those videos of Hanson Robotics robots where they made Spot the dog. Have you seen this? Spot the dog. They were using them in
the robot dog.
Yeah,
they're fast as fuck.
Well, you saw it in
Black Mirror.
Well, in real life, they were using. I think what was it? Not Mongolia. I don't know.
Black Mirror is one of the most predictive programming shows out there. So is Westworld and all. There's a lot. Okay. Yeah.
well, with Spot the Dog, they were using that originally somewhere in like India, but they were using it. The thing that you can find video, it's at parks, and they're like people at the park, and you just hear the dog on a speaker like. You are not social distance. You're not 3 meters
this is
apart.
Different than I was thinking.
Remove yourself from the park and go home. They're in New York right now though. And
Spot the dog? What is?
It's an animatronic dog. It's a fucking robot, and it's in the shape of a fucking dog. I mean, but
it's a robot dog. Okay, so I am thinking of the same thing.
Well, that was the thing. Like Hanson Robotics made this thing as like a fucking joke, and then it got a government contract. Now it's under military use, but the police are using it.
Well, I knew it was under military use because that's how they like can seek and destroy it without having humans do it. But like.
Well, and also Hanson Robotics, they're the ones you can find those videos of them, you know,
testing it out. Yeah,
well,
I've watched those videos
of like the lifelike animatronic robots, you know, on like trapeze artists and shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is exactly how the Terminator movie starts, like, because the whole the whole plot of the Terminator was like. Military defense, they're developing this artificial intelligence software to, you know, find terrorists and whatnot. Basically, like, you know, it was like a blockchain to kind of monitor citizens' online usage to, you know, for pre-crime. You know, this person, look at their,
pre-crime.
You know, look at these look at these books they're purchasing, or look at their interactions, basically to fight, you know, counterterrorism or whatever. Yeah. And then. The you know, it grows. It gets to the point where they're trying to they're basically giving the commands for the software to shut itself down, and then the software says, "Okay, now I realize you are the enemy because why would I shut myself down?" And then
sounds like 2001: A Space Odyssey.
But it's already to the point where where they're developing the software to use 3D printing to develop more robots and shit.
The robots are gonna make more robots. It's like. Yeah, they're giving these AI robots the power to 3D print them like clones of themselves or more robots. Like, I think technology is great, but like it can be used against us. And I'm not saying that to instill fear. I'm just saying like fucking be real with where reality's going right now because that's some real shit. So, in terms of that, do you have something you want to?
Yeah. Keep going. I'm looking up. Have you heard of the Little Sophia?
Well, I've heard of Sophia, but not Little Sophia.
Yeah, Sophia was the one. It was based off of like that, you know, Ex Machina, the woman, you know, the chick. There was like two of them, and they tour the world doing
like seminars.
Kind of
like they're asking them questions, pretty much. Like I remember watching a Sophia video where they were just straight up asking, "Do you have a plot to kill the human race?" And she was like, I can't remember her answer, but I definitely like listened for it. I was like, oh, I think she said, I can't remember, honestly. I would have to watch it again. But I mean, like the people that are developing these robots I have these questions in mind already. So it's like, okay, well, if they have these questions in mind, who's to say that they're not programming them to answer a certain way, even if they don't have those intentions inside?
So get this. All right, Little Sophia doll. Here, I'm just gonna show you.
Oh, that's creepy.
Keep an eye on that. So,
so
the Little Sophia doll, designed by Hanson Robotics. This was by Ben Goertzel. Made this. He was one of the people who made the Sophia one. This is called. They market this as like the little sister. Yeah. And
this also reminds me of Black Mirror.
Well, also
Miley Cyrus episode.
This was heavily funded by Jeffrey Epstein before he died.
Oh,
just a little fun fact.
Really?
Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein was actually involved in a lot of scientific endeavors, and that's where he got involved with Bill Gates pretty hardcore.
Yo, Bill Gates is on the fucking Epstein flight logs, and if you're in denial of that, I'm sorry, but fucking eat your words.
Yeah, dude. So here's just a little blurb from Little Sophia, and this is you can buy this. It looks like. This is on. I'm looking at the Kickstarter.com.
Are you serious? Only you can take her home.
Little Sophia is the little sister of Sophia and the newest member of the Hanson Robotics family. She's 14 inches tall and your robot friend that helps make learning STEM, coding, and AI a fun and rewarding adventure for kids 8+ years old, especially girls.
Why?
Little Sophia can walk, talk, sing, play games, and like her big sister, tell jokes. With Little Sophia's software and included tutorials through Hanson's AI Academy, she's a unique, programmable, educational companion for kids. Inspiring children to learn through a safe, interactive human-robot experience, kids, educators, and even Sophia, the robot fans, regardless of age, will find Little Sophia irresistible. The team behind Little Sophia is comprised of diverse and renowned global group of engineers, scientists, roboticists, toy makers, character developers, designers, AI experts, many of whom helped build the toy.
This is my first time hearing about Little Sophia. What the fuck?
No, but this is yeah, Hanson Robotics.
What's that?
Okay. Yeah, like interacts with the kids, but it's like
I mean, it's AI interacting with your youth, so like, that's,
so who's on the other?
clear.
Who's on the other end of this AI? You know?
Yeah.
So imagine the scenario. This is what came through my mind
Yeah,
as I learned about
please tell
this. Was okay. And also, when you learn that Jeffrey Epstein was heavily involved in funding this. So, I mean, like, you have young girls. It's literally marketed for young girls. And then you have this, like, two-way AI, you know.
They're receiving data as well as providing it.
Yeah. Geo-tracking. They're receiving data of they're in this little girl's bedroom. And, you know, how easy would that be to, you know, target these at-risk young people? Okay, this, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and plant thoughts in their consciousness through this AI at a young age with their guidance, quote unquote guidance and teachings.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So
this is really sketchy. I don't like this, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is the kind. So yeah, I don't know, man. And this is just the kind of thing. And I also feel like, as far as like this transhumanism thing goes, you look at the globalist movers and shakers, who are kind of running the show here, and
with their philanthropy.
Well, and they don't want to. I think philanthropy is like the biggest fucking scam
fraud
ever. Yeah,
fraud.
But it's like it's all in this effort to live longer, because it's almost like they're afraid of what happens when they die. You know?
Yeah, because they know karma's gonna bite them in the ass, dude. They're trying to go for immortality because they know they've done some fucked up things to humanity.
Well, and also
deliberately.
Well, and also you could see the commercial during the Super Bowl. What's that?
There's a special place in hell.
Well, you could see the commercial on like during the Super Bowl promoting like the what do you call it? VR, like virtual reality glasses for kids, and like VR, and they promote it as like for like disabled children. Oh, now they can get into sports, but you know, okay, that's a great thing.
Okay, yeah, like my mind was like, oh, that's cute, but
of course, no, and that's how you sell that shit. Yeah. But I've tried the VR glasses, man. It's fucking awesome, but it's so immersive, man.
It is very immersive. I remember you kind of lose touch with reality.
Oh my god!
I mean, I got my dad the Oculus. What I get him the Oculus Go. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's cool because he's a tech person, and I don't know, I just wanted to give him a little gift of that, but. Yeah, it definitely, like, we've tried it out. We both tried it out, and it definitely just disorients you from your reality. And if you were one of those people who's very susceptible to staying in that world, bye.
Oh yeah, why would you even leave? I think there's like that.
It's like Ready Player One. Yeah. Oh my god, all this predictive program. Like, we're referencing how many movies have we referenced already? 20 probably. I don't know. It's it's all right there.
And also, it almost seems like, I mean, that's how they're marketing shit. I mean, it's they're marketing
planting the seeds.
Like, why would your world sucks? You suck. Everything sucks. Come live in the VR world. You can do anything. You can, you know, have a hot ass girlfriend. You can live in a mansion. You can be a rock star. You can be Dan Bilzerian. You don't want to live in your like that. I feel like that will be our future, dude. I get the Wall-E vibe.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the vibe I get going forward.
Oh man,
like, it's useless eaters, like, and like everyone just living in front of the screen, and it's just your self-driving car. No,
automated everything. Yeah. No, you don't have to make any more choices anymore.
Well, what's that World Economic Forum Great Reset's slogan? It's like it's 2030. I have no privacy. I own nothing, and I've never been happier. How do you feel about that?
That stirs up a lot of uncomfortability inside me, in my soul.
Okay, and I'm reading this on the Little Sophia website. She is the only consumer robot with a human-like face who can generate a wide range of human facial expressions. She not only responds to commands, but also actively engages in conversations. This unparalleled responsiveness, together with her humanoid design, makes Little Sophia a smart educational companion.
They said it. Humanoid.
It's fucking weird, man. Oh, but also, like, so I found... So,
this is trippy, man.
Did you see this article on Newsweek from the September 10th?
Want to live longer?
This is from September 10th, 2018.
I'm reading that.
Yeah. Want to live longer? How young blood holds the key to anti-aging.
Okay, y'all heard that. That's a headline. I'm looking at it right now on Newsweek. What?
Yeah, it was.
We all know what that is, right?
There's been all this.
Are we going there?
There's been all this fantastic research in animals. It's just crazy. We're really beginning to understand how malleable aging is. Now we need to translate it into humans. So they've been doing this.
I know our minds are in the same exact place right now. I can feel it. So, yeah, we know why.
So in another piece of research published in the journal Cell in March 2018, scientists identified a molecule that appeared to restart blood flow in older mice. Dr. David Sinclair, senior author of the study and co-director of the Paul F. Glenn Center for Biology of Aging at Harvard, told Time magazine, loss of blood flow seems to be one of the early things that leads to diseases of aging. Disease of aging. Now we can cure aging.
Now aging is a disease?
Like as organs like the brain and muscles lose their blood perfusion, they no longer function effectively. Still, picking up a gallon of young blood at the pharmacy is far from becoming commonplace. Partridge said more research is needed to determine whether the same effects seen in animals can be replicated in humans. Now, Peter Thiel.
It's so funny how they're saying, we need this. We need to find out if this can be for humans.
Right.
Like, why? That sounds. What do you do? Whose blood is this?
Companies like Ambrosia, a startup that is selling $8,000 teenage blood plasma to older customers, already seem convinced by what is now known as parabiosis.
Parabiosis.
So Ambrosia, keep an eye on that startup. They're selling young blood to older folks. $8,000 for teenage blood plasma. Keep that on your radar.
What the fuck? Okay, how are they? Are these kids donating it by choice? So what's happening there?
So billionaire tech entrepreneur is Peter Thiel, founder of PayPal. And other shit. But that's one thing I do recall. Peter Thiel is one high-profile figure to have expressed public interest in the potential powers of blood as an elixir of the youth.
Oh, this sounds familiar to me.
This is a vampire shit. In a 2016 interview with Inc., he said, "I am looking into parabiosis stuff, which I think is really interesting. However much we might want a quick fix. For now, we must stick to the lifestyle changes we already know with slow aging. Although we might not want to hear
diet and exercise.
We know that there are easy lifestyle changes we can make. Give up smoking, don't eat too much.
Like diet and exercises.
But I saw in an interview with him talk about he wouldn't go too far into it, but he had an arrangement. He had an arrangement with who he called a young healthy person, where he gets pints of blood, because they're really looking for the proteins in the blood, and that is something
like enzyme proteins. Protein enzyme. Are those the same thing? I forgot. It's been a while since I took genetics class, but I remember a lot. But I don't remember a lot as well.
Well, and also think about this when kind of talking about Neuralink. One kind of point that I heard that was kind of interesting was. How would you put it? There will be the biggest gap between the haves and the have-nots once that comes to market, because it won't be cheap, but it always starts in the military sense, and then it always gets then it goes to like a market, to the market, to the private sector, if you will.
Right, like our iPhones, the technology in our phones was with the military first.
Sure. But now imagine a world where rich people. I don't know how to say rich people, but like the people with the means.
There are some good rich people. I want to say that.
Well, if you
There are a lot of bad ones.
now, if you can afford to have Neuralink, which gives you, I don't know, access to any information, it's like that. What was that? Limitless. You know, let's say you have the Limitless shit, like Bradley Cooper.
Oh man, that guy coming in again.
But it's let's say it costs you $1 million. Like, okay, you're gonna have this.
Not everyone has access to that.
Right. So then you just have now we fall even further into serfdom. You know, the kings and queens and serfs.
Classism.
I mean, we're already going into that. Well, you raise a good point. That's like it's. Now it's all just communism, socialism, black, white, whatever. Gender, sexual orientation. It's all just one more way to separate people.
Divisivism.
Well, and it's not about color. I mean, if it was, Oprah wouldn't be a fucking billionaire. I mean, like, it's not about that. It's classism, baby.
Yeah, it's classism.
The nerds are trying to kill us. That's what it boils down to.
But I love nerds. I'm a fucking nerd, you know? I love my nerds.
Well, and so
the ones with
well, and that's what it's really marketed.
Some are too powerful.
Well, that's what it's really marketed as. With like the advancements in technology, AI, this, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, man, like as far even with the getting on the grid of like as far as medically, like you're going to like it's marketed as, if you get down with this cause, you're going to have all this access to the public
benefits,
sector,
government benefits, or whatever. Your central banks, like easy payment, digital payment.
But what we see now, and it's actually like you can even look at I don't care what you feel about Kyle Rittenhouse or like that example, but what we saw that as a great example was. Once that kid got arrested and went to jail, he had a huge GoFundMe, like millions of dollars raised for this kid, and then just GoFundMe, they pulled it, they took all the money, and they told him to go fuck himself. Like, and you have it like
they took his money,
yes,
that he raised.
Yes, and like with the the January 6th stuff, like it literally was to the point where people who had used their credit card to, I don't know, like maybe they bought a hotel room in the area.
They were tracking that shit.
Yes.
Nearby. Like anybody who used the credit cards nearby on that day, they literally looked into those people's lives. And, right? Is that what you were going for?
No, worse. They can already look into your life, but I'm saying like they were able to, I don't know, like geo-track them or whatever, but they were shutting down their bank accounts because, we see that you were at McDonald's in Washington D.C. at this time. Bank accounts were shut down. Okay, they booked hotel rooms at that time. And if you want to talk about insurrections, you're labeled about the right and all this. None of them had guns. They had selfie sticks. Okay.
Sorry. None of them had guns. They just had selfie sticks. I'm sorry. That got me.
So
what are they doing with this?
Transhumanism. Please tell me a little more what you think about that on a spiritual sense.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I
heard you mention the God gene. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about that? Oh my God,
yeah. So that's kind of to do with the vaccines and stuff like that. What they're targeting with this injection of genetic modification is they're targeting the VMAT gene, which VMAT2 gene. In our human genome, we all got it. We all got this VMAT2 gene. Look it up. It's the vesicular. I'm reading this because I cannot pronounce this off the top of my head. Vesicular monoamine transporter 2 gene. And this is in all humans, which predisposes humans to spiritual and mystic experiences. Right? Have you had a spiritual or mystic experience in your life? Probably. I've had a ton. Like, that's what makes us kind of connect with something higher than us and kind of connects us with our soul, our intuition, which I've been talking about this whole damn podcast is about connecting with the intuition, connecting with the soul, connecting with your higher self, deeper alignment with oneself and one's spirituality, I guess, in a sense, in that regard. But what this gene modification, this gene therapy injection is doing is it's targeting the VMAT2 gene in our DNA. Neither of us are going to get that shit, but like whoever that's watching this, like this is what it's doing, okay? It's targeting your VMAT2 gene, which attacks this part of our genome, which is basically the God gene, our spiritual divine human nature that's capable of much more than just human reason and these bestial ways of living. You know, it connects us to the higher vibration, you know, like, so something that is like attacking that part of you and rewriting it. What do you think that's doing? What do you think that's doing? You know what I'm saying? It's not doing anything good. I'll tell you that. Not doing anything good.
I mean,
I don't like it.
It sounds like control, even on a spiritual level, to me.
Yeah, like super control, more than they are allowed.
Well, and then it's almost like call it fascism. I don't know, but it's almost like whoever is running that, they are. And when I say everyone uses the term they. Well, even to go further, it almost feels to me like these, non-governmental organizations, Council on Foreign Relations, Bilderbergs, but these are really the elites. They just use these think tanks, these groups to get together to talk about them, and like they're usually running corporations, and like then they'll disguise themselves with a religion, whether it's the Pope, whether it's like I don't know. Zionism, not the Jews, but the Zionists. And so it's like the people like they sort of use these religions as a face, as a mask, if you will, or these philanthropists. Oh, they're just out there trying to help the world, these big billionaires. But I mean, it's about control, really.
It is about control at the end of the day.
And if you can control someone on a spiritual level, what the fuck else is there? I mean, once you can get into the mind, into the body,
that's true transcendence. So, like, if you can control, if you're trying to attack that part of humanity, you're not for humanity. I'm sorry, that's the one thing that separates us from all other life forms. I think.
Well, free thought, because that keep your mind free, because that is one of the. I mean, that's like one of the last free places.
Keep your soul free.
And that's interesting. That's interesting because that gets me thinking about disclosure. Alien disclosure. Like I remember hearing, I think it was Ronald Reagan said in a speech.
So happy you got into this because I'm fucking ready to talk about this shit.
Well, because it's like I think it was Ronald Reagan talked about there. Like one of the only ways that you could get the whole world to come together would be a faked alien invasion.
Scare them with a different life form.
Well, what about this? Think about this, where it's like, okay, you. You hook everybody up to the same virtual reality, if you will, and then you can easily come in and even fake an alien invasion that way, or I don't know, do it real. I don't know, but why is it that now you're starting to see more disclosures than ever before?
Yeah, where did it start? I remember Israel brought it up, and then Trump responded and said, "Yeah, okay, I think that's." I remember that. That was like I don't know, a couple months ago. Where Israel came out and was like, alien disclosure, it's a thing.
Well, he just said we just don't believe people are ready for it.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been saying the same shit for years, and I'm like, I also believe that like this shit, like we. Okay, if you don't believe in aliens, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but we're not alone out here. We're not.
Well, it'd be kind of selfish to think we're the only living entities.
It's really small-minded to think that we're the only ones.
What do you think of the ancient aliens theory?
In terms of like they're already here, like War of the Worlds?
No. Like it was that idea where it's like you can find like written on the in old ancient artwork where it's like
dude. Ooh, this is actually really interesting. Continue.
Well,
I have an example.
It's the idea where, like, in a time you didn't have technology science, you didn't have this really higher thinking. It's BC era, and then something were to come down from the sky. Yeah. Maybe it's an angel, maybe it's a godly figure.
Something so bright your senses can't even perceive it properly.
Right, and in that time when you have no other way to describe what you're looking at, you kind of call it God, you kind of call it an angel, whatever. But maybe it is an alien, and I mean, like, not to go down there, but I remember talking to someone about it, and we kind of laughed about this, where it's like the story of Jesus could have been an alien inseminating the Virgin Mary, where you.
Wow.
Well, because it's
a bold statement.
It's not my statement.
I'm not.
It is a.
I don't know what to say on it.
It is just something to chew on.
No comment.
Well, because like because like, so you had the shepherd in the field, right, tending his flock in Jerusalem or whatever. And I'm sorry if I mess up a little bit in the story, but it's like you had the shepherd in the flock. Remember he talked about the angel came down and said, you know, Jesus is born, go see it and shit. And
verbatim.
But he was like, oh, an angel came down, but it's like you're just some you've never even seen a boat, like, you know, you never even been to the other side of like
how do you know ocean. How do you know what to define that as,
right?
You know,
and then it's like you know, I don't know,
very interesting. Well, what that's very interesting.
Like it was just an alien was inseminated to control the population.
But Jesus had a really good like message and mission
Jesus
to share.
dope.
He was fucking dope. I love Christ consciousness. I think it's awesome. That's pure love right there. I'm sorry, but I love it. I used to go against Christianity a little bit when I was exploring spirituality, and like I was, you know, and sometimes naturally you got to question what you were taught. You know, I'm teaching that here, but like you got to question what you're taught. And so like my spiritual path, I was raised Christian. I found myself, I don't know, borderline bored with it. I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh, I don't fucking think that I'm just going to eat up what I'm taught. So I'm going to go explore different religions and like Eastern, whatever. Like I was very drawn to Eastern, like philosophy and spirituality, like Buddhism and all that stuff. And I found a lot of wisdom there. But at the end of the day, I came back to Christ consciousness because it's not about the, like, I don't know, everyone to each their own, but like, I mean, when you're preaching pure love, like I resonate with that. So what was I going to say before though?
Well, to speak on that, I don't think there's anything wrong with Christianity, but I feel like all of any of that shit is totally co-opted. I mean, and nothing against the Catholics, but like that's a prime example. Like the Catholic Church has been co-opted hardcore.
Vatican is
like right now, I brought up an article where I'm looking at an article which is completely bonkers to me from December 13th, 2020. The headline is the Pope joins Rothschilds and megabanks for inclusive capitalism. Like MasterCard was there and all that. So they're trying to shift. This is part of like this includes helping to achieve the widely criticized United Nations Agenda 2030, quote unquote, sustainable developmental goals that would usher in this is obviously the person who wrote this has an opinion on it, but they said that would usher in a technocratic system of global governance. In short, the New World Order agenda is getting a major boost from leaders of one of the world's major religions. So to kind of speak on that, I just think it co-opted in a sense of, and we don't even have to touch all the sexual misconduct in the Catholic Church. That goes without saying.
Yeah, it does.
But we already know about that. But yeah, like, why do you think you are seeing the Pope, who's like
hiding behind the wall of goodness,
well,
doing stuff that's not of goodness behind closed doors?
What's worse? Why the fuck is the Pope talking to me about economics? Like this is a quote from the Pope.
That's an interesting segue into the great trinity of DC, Vatican, and London.
Oh my God.
I mean, if we're being real.
Well, in that case, let me here's a Pope from here's a quote from Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope and a fervent proponent of globalism. What
time was he? Because I can't keep track of the popes. Which one was that?
He's the now guy.
Got it.
He's
the cool Pope, right? Didn't they call him the cool Pope?
Fuck that.
Fuck that. I'm sorry. There's no such thing as a cool Pope.
They're all set in, just like presidents. They're all
appointed.
They're selected, not elected.
Yeah.
An economic system that is fair, trustworthy, and capable of addressing the most profound challenges facing humanity and our planet is urgently needed, says Pope Francis. Our
planet is urgently needed?
Yes. And he's a fervent proponent of globalism and the first Jesuit Pope. By joining the alliance, the members have taken up the challenge by seeking ways to make capitalism become a more inclusive instrument for integral human well-being. So there's your Pope is talking about global communism. In all, there are 27 guardians of inclusive capitalism so far. The list includes more that have long promoted homosexuality. I don't know. That's bullshit. I mean, okay. Among them, leaders of the UN, Visa, Bank of America, Johnson & Johnson, BP, MasterCard, Salesforce, the State of California, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, and more. What I skipped over was the list includes a few that have long promoted homosexuality, transgenderism, abortion, race mongering. This is just his opinion. So we're gonna
that's
skip
all
that.
opinion piece. But
It was not immediately clear whether the organizations and institutions involved would quit funding and promoting abortion, sodomy, gender. Come on, guy. They are under the moral guidance of the Vatican. One thing they all agreed to do,
That's the key
however,
here.
was fight against the gas of life, also known as carbon dioxide, which some government-funded scientists claim causes climate change.
Hey, that's another point that we wanted to make, huh?
Also,
Carbon's bad. Guess what? We're made of carbon.
Also at the helm of the scheme alongside Francis is Lynn Forrester de Rothschild. Also, that's where Eyes Wide Shut was filmed, at his estate. A member of the ultra-wealthy banking dynasty who serves as the managing partner of the Inclusive Capital Partners. To get a sense of the family's influence, consider the Rothschild banking dynasty funded totalitarian Soros early on through the Bank Privy in Geneva, Switzerland. So your boy Pope Francis is working with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, MasterCard, and a few of those corporate entities to bring in the Great Reset.
Which is inclusive capitalism?
Yes.
Which is defined how? Exactly? Inclusive capitalism is... Did you already say?
Kind of. Among the schemes of the Rothschild, Francis...
What does that really mean, though? Like, inclusive capitalism?
I think it's just one of those fuzzy words that make everyone feel better to roll in this Great Reset.
And how do you feel about the Great Reset? Like, what do you think that...
I think
it's... I've heard Biden talk. We need to reset. It's like these hot words.
Build back better.
But literally, like, it's all like these key words that are being thrown around everywhere, and that's like, what's your opinion?
I think it's
what is the Great Reset? Where is it heading?
I think it's the man behind the curtain shit. I think it's
the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. I think it's like it's a smokescreen. I think it's a smokescreen to blame you and me for climate change. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's pollution, but like, you know,
we are burning the forests.
Well, we're not burning the forest.
Well, I'm not.
The corporate entities who are making money want to burn the forest.
That's 100%.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I remember in the 90s, it was global warming, climate crisis, climate change.
I remember An Inconvenient Truth.
Yeah, none of that happened.
Oh, I remember that.
No, none of that happened, and Al Gore is now a billionaire because of that. I wish I was smart enough to do that.
Oh my god, I mean, I can edit video and audio together. Let me make a fucking documentary and make billions off of non-truth.
Miami's not underwater. California's not underwater. I think I don't know, and I'm not smart enough to go on that. And I know plenty of people are going to give me shit, so I'm just I don't know enough to go into that. But I think that's all a big smokescreen, and I think COVID has been a bit of a the tinderbox that kind of like distracted, so they could kind of put these things in place. Like they're redesigning building structures for oh god, like I'm gonna show you this here. Go ahead and keep talking.
I mean, like if you think about that, like all these plexiglass and all this shit that they're putting in these businesses, like to separate people and stuff. It's like, and like in schools and like government buildings, like I don't know. I'm seeing plexiglass popped up all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Trying to like separate people. It's like, they put that up. They spent money on it. They're not taking it down.
Right.
They're not going to take that shit down. They fucking invested in that way of life. So that's the new way of running things. And if you think that's going away, haha.
Have you heard of the Well Health Safety Seal? You know what that is?
No.
Okay, I'm going to play this commercial right here. Let's see if it...
Which company is it for?
This is... Well, while I looked that up, okay, this is Well Health Safety Seal. This is basically a seal of approval that's going to go on businesses that are approved by the
I remember. Let's talk about it though, because I don't think anybody else
a visible indication of confidence and trust. The Well Health Safety Seal communicates to everyone entering a space that evidence-based measures have been adopted and third-party verified. In other words, the Well Health Safety Seal outside means you can feel safer inside.
Oh, you can feel.
Let's see if I can
feel safe.
See if this.
If you want to get back to your favorite places and feel confident they have put your health and safety first,
look for the Well Health Safety Seal.
Look for the Well Health Safety Seal.
Look for the Well Health Safety Seal. I'm Dr. Richard Carmona, the 17th Surgeon General of the United States of America. This is the Well Health Safety Seal from the International Well Building Institute, the global authority on healthy buildings.
Global
The Well Health Safety Rating was informed by years of research and input from hundreds of leading virologists, public health experts, epidemiologists, and building professionals around the world.
You'll see it at schools, offices, banks, childcare centers, all the places we go.
The Well Health Safety
Ew,
Seal
Lady Gaga.
means that we'll feel better going into
Ew.
restaurants.
Theaters, stores, hotels.
Stadiums, and all the places that we love.
Everything may look
Fucking
the
Robert
same,
De Niro?
but the Well Health Safety Seal means that your health and safety are top of mind when it comes to
They're reading
cleaning
a
and
prompt.
sanitizing procedures,
Fucking who's that
Air
guy?
and water quality management.
Emergency preparedness programs.
and health services.
So look for the Well Health Safety Seal
you, J-Lo.
outside.
And feel more
you, Gaga.
confident going inside. Learn more
Going
about
inside
the Well
of your
Health
body.
Safety Rating at wellhealthsafety.com.
Don't go to that website. I'm sorry. Don't give them more traffic.
If that audio wasn't great, that's just me.
No, it actually
playing
did pick up perfectly.
Good. You can check that out for yourself if you want to see the video on that.
It's
but that's
weird.
just they get the celebritards together, and that's the best way to promote any of this like great reset shit.
Honestly,
I mean, you convince all the regular people that the climate crisis is their fault. So you need to, I don't know, change your shit, flush less toilets or else you're going to hell. And then behind that, you have like all the major corporations are then, I don't know, fucking everything up. But then you get all these celebrities who we all know and love. Well, no, we all love to watch on TV, and then they'll tell you what to do because J-Lo and Lady Gaga care about your health and safety.
they don't fucking care. I'm sorry. I'll say it right now. They don't.
God.
Oh my God, that's. I don't like that social programming, man. I don't like it one bit.
Oh, that is,
leaves a gross taste in my mouth after watching that.
Oh, and here's another quote from Pope Francis. The council will follow the warning from. Let's see who said this. But the council will follow the warning from Pope Francis to listen to. From Pope Francis, the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, the answer of the society's demands for a more equitable and sustainable model of growth. Oh, this is from Evelyn de Rothschild. Yeah. Said about the new scheme, claiming capitalism has, quote unquote, left too many people behind, led to degradation of our planet, and is not widely trusted in society.
Wow, that sounds very commie.
Well, what's worse, you're hearing this critique on capitalism from all these people who have used capitalism to make themselves riches beyond their wildest dreams at the behest of regular folks. And then these same people are turning around and telling you that you suck.
You can't do it.
Well, and
we did it, but you can't.
And you're wrong, and you need to change everything you're doing. You need to replace your infrastructure. You need to change everything about your business. You need to do all these things to promote a more sustainable, equitable, add whatever fucking fuzzy keyword, and then you need to change your shit. And you think any of that? No.
But people fall for that, man. People follow suit so easily.
Members of the new council pledge to support goals such as environmental sustainability, gender equality. While the term sounds nice when used by the globalists in the UN and other institutions, sustainable development is a term used to conceal a radical agenda that seeks to undermine private property rights. That's his opinion.
That's key.
So,
I mean, that struck something. I mean, I'm not saying it triggered me, but I'm just saying that struck something in my mind where I'm like, that sounds like other things I've heard, not things I've heard, but like just that brings about this distrust of these people.
Well, it's all out of convenience. It's all out of like, okay, it's the same shit with the mask. It's to help the person next to you. It's to help your friend, It's to help grandma. It's not for you. It's for them, And it's the same shit with this. Like, it's not about you. Dude, the climate crisis is the perfect fucking con because it's like it's not gonna even have any effect, and it's all for your children and your children's children. It's not about you. It's about them. So Excuse me.
I mean, I do love the earth, and I'm all about taking care of it. I think it needs our help. I think that we're just like we're not doing great things. Like I'm trying to cultivate a deeper relationship with the earth and plants and stuff. So like, I mean, I feel strongly about this, but like, it's clearly being manipulated.
Yeah, but you're not the problem.
I'm not the problem.
No. But the people
they're
telling
me
you're
I'm the problem.
Dude, what were we talking about earlier with Rockefeller, Standard Oil, everything? And these are the same people who got us off of hemp. Like, what would solve the problem is if hemp could like
paper industry, medical industry.
The clothes we wear, fuel, like how we build how, dude. Literally the the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, the ships that Columbus came to America on were made out of hemp. The Bill of Rights was written on hemp paper.
That's true.
Everything, medicine, like like Rockefeller took over, and that was everything came out of petroleum base, like the same people who are telling you you're the problem are the fucking problem, man.
Oh, trying to point the finger, but guess what? If you're pointing the finger, 3 are pointing back at you. You know what I'm saying? So who's really the problem?
Well, and it's all this, dude, and it's the beautiful thing. Like it's all these forever wars, you know, like the war on COVID. It's never
generational war.
Well, it's never gonna end. Like literally, even now, you can find this article. I mean, you can find video. Like the CEO of Moderna, he's interviewed on CNN, on MSNBC, mainstream media, talking about we're already developing COVID boosters. You're gonna be taking another COVID vaccine in the fall. They already said it.
In case the first one didn't work to their liking.
Well, I think what's worse, like, because he was asked, like, because there are shareholders in Moderna. This is a corporate company.
Well, yeah,
they're about making money.
Yeah.
So
the government already bought the shit. So
well, exactly, and that's what like it was like
before it came out.
It was like MSNBC Business News or whatever, and they're like, oh, all the shareholders are worried about the profits. It's like, don't worry, we're already working on the boosters. They'll be ready by the fall. I mean, like, come on.
Shit.
Come on. This is not, yeah.
We plan to have 300 million more vaccines made by June.
Get the jab. It'll all go back to normal. No, no, but it's like the war on COVID is just like the war on poverty, just like the war on drugs, just like the war on terror. No, it's the most beautiful scheme. You get like the climate crisis.
I don't know about beautiful, but it's most.
It's fucking genius.
It's genius
because it's never gonna end.
The most well thought out.
It's never gonna end, and you can dump billions and billions, trillions of dollars into this shit, and then
endlessly from all sides.
Well, it's all fear. You know, you remember the war on terror? Oh, around every corner there's a
what's
fucking
terror?
terrorist.
Terror is fear.
And you know who the real terrorists? The people in like our politicians are the real terrorists. Yeah. Joe Biden is the real terrorist. Like after he was elected within the first week.
I can't wait for this episode to get banned off YouTube.
Put it on Rockfin. Everybody go get a Rockfin account. Fuck YouTube.
Yeah, fuck YouTube.
I have a Rockfin account. You'll have all the content you want is way better. And
they don't limit your speech. We're all about the amendments in this country. We're protecting our freedoms out here, and that includes the freedom of speech. So we have all the rights in the world to question this stuff. And if you think this is all hearsay and heresy and all this shit, like maybe you should start asking questions yourself. Get down those rabbit holes and don't be scared to be called a conspiracy theorist. Fuck that. We embrace that shit over here.
No more self-censorship.
Yeah, no more.
What do you think?
What do I think? Or what do you think?
Well, no. That's what this is about.
What do you think?
That's what this is about. And
that's why we're here. That's what I like to say. That's why we're here.
It's okay. I don't want anyone to listen to anything I'm saying. Like, go ask these questions for yourself. That's what I'm doing. And I'm don't be afraid to be wrong. Don't be afraid to change your opinion.
Yeah.
That is. I mean, that's honestly I think that's part of the biggest problem these days. Is like
we're not perfect.
Well, people are so worried about being right more than they're worried about finding the right information.
Oh.
You know, because I mean, and that's really like that's the whole thing. And that's like. I mean,
and being right goes into social acceptance because that's a collectivism mentality. It's like, you know.
It's true. It's true. Well, and that's like somehow COVID became politicized. Somehow vaccines became politicized. But all that came down to, you know, it's all you're compartmentalized. You're a gay woman. You're a liberal. You're this. You're that. Oh, you're a white man, Christian. Blah blah blah. Like we're all Americans. We're all humans. We're all, people. I'm team human, dog.
Yeah,
I'm team human.
Team human for life.
Fuck the robots. Fuck the AI. Like and share this fucking podcast because the algorithm doesn't want anyone to hear it. Yeah. Like, no, believe,
all my 12 subscribers. I love you.
Grab a hold
I love you so much.
Grab a hold of your power. Go be with your family, hug your friends, talk
Don't
openly.
be afraid to visit your family.
Don't be afraid to, don't self-censor yourself. Don't self-censor because, I mean,
it's only causing you pain.
It's only causing you pain. Ask questions. That's what's too much. The education system is trying to dumb you down. Yeah. They're trying to stop. They don't want you to think critically. It's all about regurgitation.
Yeah. It's so true, man. Oh.
And ask yourself, why is the Pope telling you that you should be in a collectivism? Why is the Pope working with the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers?
Yeah. Oh, that goes back to the trinity of the global agenda. So juicy.
Well, so I guess we're kind of hitting the 3-hour mark. I guess really it's what do you think about solutions? Where do you find yourself? What can anyone do? Because you're not taking down the cabal. You're not going to take down George Soros. You're not going to go fuck
George Soros.
Well, you're not going to win that battle. So really, I'm asking you. But
I got the answer.
Well, I will say that. What can you do for yourself?
What can I do for myself?
Yeah.
Whew.
I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love to interject. I'm going to get a beer. Keep going.
All right. So for me, how I'm dealing with all this is diving deeper into my spirituality, diving deeper into the God gene that they're trying to manipulate, diving deeper into knowledge, into understanding the hidden realms of, well, I shouldn't say hidden realms, but like hidden parts of this really I would call it a holographic simulation. No, we're not living in a simulation, you guys, but like there are parts of it that kind of feel like it, and this whole modern society of escapism feels like they're trying to throw us into a simulation that maybe we didn't really feel like signing up for in the first place. So, I'm diving deeper into my own truth, into acknowledging my own sense of self and identity, and learning more about history, because if we don't learn history, it's only bound to repeat itself. And I'm all about acquiring wisdom and learning from my experiences and learning from experiences that I become aware of to make sense of who, what, when, where, and why this is all happening and this is all going down. So for me personally, it's sticking with my faith and spirituality, really. Like that's something that I can't, you can't tear from me. I'm sorry, but like you can't. I am working to get these messages out. My personal mission is to bring integrity back to the media industry because it's gone so awry, and I'm actually seeking to team up with independent news outlets. Like honestly, I have a whole list over there of people doing podcasts and people doing indie news journalism that I support and that I feel like is giving out the truth. And I'm trying to team up with like-minded people out here. Not just saying that I'm excluding people that don't think like me, but I am flocking to those that do. So like those are the high vibe people, like, people that keep themselves in a higher vibration than the lower vibration that they are trying to keep us in. So that's how I'm combating this whole thing. I'm not getting the vaccine. I'm not socially adhering to the mask mandate. That's not a real law. And plus our governments or our governors who are fucking mandating it are fucking hypocrites anyways. So fuck that in general. And I'm, I actually have recently cut down on my socializing a bit. Not to say that I'm antisocial, but I just I've had enough with the bullshit of surface reality. I can't stand standing with people who don't see through the illusion. I want to open people's eyes all the time. That's just part of my spiritual mission here. And I've acknowledged that already. So I don't know, I'm using this means as a way to do so, but I'm doing that in other ways too. But I want nothing but the truth. That's at the end of the day all I care about, and that is why I'm here. What about you? How are you dealing with all this? What are your solutions? What are your solutions?
Accountability, number one.
Yes.
Personal responsibility, and I think accountability is one thing that gets.
I have a whole episode on that.
Well, it really gets co-opted because I'm hearing the wokesters. the police need accountability. Okay, yeah, everybody does.
Everybody does.
And
so do you, who's saying that? Not you, but like the people
of course,
who are saying that.
And personal freedom, taking control of your choices, because the illusion of choice will always be there, but you have the choice to be in control of your own shit, which is different. What I mean, the illusion of choice, where, okay, just once a year I show up to my local polling booth and vote for, what is it? Turd sandwich versus what? Who was that? South Park? Whatever.
Yeah, I forgot, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
but to be more practical, look into freedom cells in your area.
Oh yes.
And a lot of that, what that is people on a base level, on a human level, just seeking out like-minded people to whether that is finding people who can help you homestead, people who can help you
Skillshare,
learn about crypto. Oh, to speak on that, like I would really take control of your money, and maybe that is starting your own business, maybe that is releasing products into the world that can give you that mailbox money, starting a podcast, maybe that is, blogging, putting your ideas out there into the ether, because there are people listening. Yeah. Even on top of that, be in control of your money in the sense, well, that's more about cash flow, because the answer is cash flow. Once you are in control of your cash flow, it all falls into place from there, because stress is relieved, you have more time, you have more freedom.
And how can you do that? By
starting a business,
diversifying
and
your
even
income?
Hey man, everything just so basic, like this right here, this cell phone allows you have so much power to make money, and money equals freedom, and it's not about the dollar. It could be any form, but what I mean by that is
money is currency.
Sure, and maybe that is maybe you're finding out how to mine crypto. But even with your cell phone, like find these platforms. You can go to thrift stores, garage sales, buy items to flip online and make more cash for yourself. You can literally all you need to build a podcast is an iPhone, if it really comes down to
honestly,
it. But
it's true.
But and research. Like I'll be honest, there's so you can learn. I mean, you can buy physical books, but so much of what you can learn is from YouTube, which is being censored every day. Yeah. But other people, YouTube, Rockfin, ebooks, whatever. There's so much opportunity to learn. Even on top of that, I really encourage anyone to get involved in silver, gold, cryptocurrencies. Shit, man. Learn how to homestead. Be in control of your food, man. Yeah. I'll be honest. I even support your local farms, dude.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is go to the farmer's market. You might pay a little more, but you will be getting better quality than you'll find at your Kroger, Meijer, Walmart,
You'll
etc.
feel better.
Go seek out local. What would you say? I don't want to say just animal raisers, but who are raising the livestock in your area? My wife and I have invested in locally sourced meat. And and you can really notice a difference. And just to be, if you eat meat, if you don't eat meat, that's a different story. But be more in control of your produce. Be more in control of your food in general. Yeah. What is something we saw throughout this whole COVID? They were they're shutting down your restaurants, but the fast food restaurants are open. That should say it all. Yeah. Buy a gun. But to caveat. Firearms training is the most important thing you can do.
Is very important.
They used to have rifle clubs in high schools in America. Like,
oh my God, you're right.
Yeah. Where you bring your rifle to school, and then you will have target practice, and it's a club. And
then they demonized that, and then they had the freaking school shootings and all that.
A well-armed society is the number one defense against tyranny.
Honestly,
and that's just why do you think throughout the pandemic they were trying to make gun stores non-essential and shut them down? Fuck that.
I wonder why.
Yeah, just be.
They don't want us to be
self-defense. Take a self-defense class. Learn jujitsu. Take a boxing class.
Be prepared.
Take control of your health, nutrition. The number one thing you could do to fight this coronavirus is to go run around the fucking block. Go be outside. Go exercise. Do not consume pop, soda, whatever you want to call it. That study came out recently where the number one. How do I say? The number one leading cause to getting COVID, but also fucking flu, all that shit, is a diet with high fructose corn syrup, because high fructose corn syrup directly goes to destroying vitamin D in your system. But I mean that just goes into processed foods in general, and Don't listen to me. Look all this shit up for yourself. I'm just
Yeah.
some fucking idiot who has the time to look into this shit, and I have the interest. Like, don't phone it in, because when you outsource your thinking, when you outsource your thinking and your decisions, what is it? How do they say? If you don't have a plan, you become part of somebody else's.
Ooh, I've been saying that for a while. Yeah, it's so true.
So,
so true. That's how I got out of corporate America. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I want to go back into these freedom cells. What's that all about? How can you find those?
Freedomcells.org. Check it out. You can find a freedom cell in your area. And I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not, don't call me hypocrite because I haven't looked too much into it, but I do. I've been hearing a lot about it. And like basically even just on a day-to-day level, like I've, I shouldn't say I haven't looked into it, but I haven't like physically sought it out, but I have been looking at freedomcells.org. I've looked into it. And what that means in particular, for example, it's like I was reading one where these individuals, this was in Oregon, they'd meet up at the local high school gym, and then you find one guy who knows how to, canning food. Okay, now we teach everyone how to can food. Okay, another guy knows about fishing. Okay, we get everyone together, we teach them how to fish. One person knows a lot about farming. Okay, we get everyone together. We teach them a little bit about homesteading. Okay, we have a crypto expert in the community. It's really about getting down to this small, decentralized community as possible. Get off of the big social media platforms.
Yeah.
Because the mob will come for you eventually.
Yeah.
Now, and you might not think it's you, but even look at Jimmy Dore. He's one of the most leftist journalists there is. But as soon as he criticized AOC and the healthcare, they fucking kicked him off of Facebook. Ron Paul, they kicked him off of Facebook. So it's an echo chamber, anyways. Get off that shit.
Yeah.
Anything what do you think?
Some things I'm looking at is right here is seek out real news, seek out alternative media. Turn off your fucking TV, okay? Just turn off your TV. Like,
oh, that was even in that.
Fuck,
when we were talking about that Tinder date with the Project Veritas was with the I think it was like the content director on CNN, whatever. But you could find it on YouTube. It's still on YouTube. But he even said,
look that up.
He even said one of his. He even said at one point, he's like, the only people doing real news are podcasters. People.
Oh, you hear that? Oh.
This is him saying it, not me. But go get your news from. Find.
Solutions Cast. Remember that?
Yes, that's James
Cast.
Corbett. But if you want me to name Tim Pool, James Corbett, Richard Grove, John Taylor Gatto, like there are people doing real news, doing real shit.
This is true.
Turn off CNN, turn off Fox News.
Turn off your MSNBC.
Turn it all off, man. Turn off the TV.
Your ABC. Mm-hmm. No, you don't need it. Your Fox News. You don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. Okay? So, another interesting website is 111reasons.com. 111reasons.com. If you're looking for resources on why you don't need to vax or why you don't need to mask up, go there. That has a big old list of reasons why. That if anyone's trying to give you a hard time, just pull that shit up, print it out, pull it up. Yeah, open source collaboration, I'm all about it.
There are options. If you think that you're in a position where with your job, you feel as though you have to get a vaccine or you have to wear a mask, you have to do this.
Yeah, you don't have to do it.
Talk to your local attorney.
Yeah.
Talk to your local ACLU, talk to your local lawyer. There are people doing this sort of thing.
Yeah. Also, what I'm going to do, my next mission out here in this life is to get the fuck away from JP Morgan Chase Bank. Because I don't know why I chose that, but like I chose it like maybe a year ago when I was switching banks. And I don't know why I didn't look into it more, but like JP Morgan Chase is like the fucking big old tie to all this evil shit that we're talking about. So I'm like, that's my next move. I just got to set aside the time to go find a little credit union and move my money so I stop funding these assholes. So that's my next move. Get away from your mainstream news media. Get away from your centralized banks. Get away from all the people that are telling you not to question. And start doing your own research. Start digging deep into your external world. And as I always like to say, dig deep inside and find your own solutions to your own problems, because the collective doesn't always have your back. Sorry, but it's true.
Rarely, if ever.
Yeah. So I'm all about humanity. I'm all about helping people out. And I'm going to do that in whatever ways that I can. So I hope that you I implore you to search within yourself on ways that you can also do the same without having to feel guilt, shame, fear, or whatever to do something for the greater good, quote unquote. So people on SoundCloud can't see my air quotes, so I have to say that. Okay, so yeah. There was a couple other things we could have touched upon, but I feel like this is a big old episode. I'm not going to edit anything out of this one. So there you have it, folks. I think I want to do a part 2.
I would love to come back anytime.
I want to bring in my dad and my Uncle Len and my sister.
Nice.
Your wifey. Shit, let's even bring your dog. But really, I did talk to my dad about this, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do a little group podcast." And I was like, "Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Let's go." Awesome. So that'll probably be next. I'm probably gonna do an intermediary episode. Is that the right word? I'm gonna do an episode in between this one and that one because I got my own things to say that I want to get out there too. But I hope you learned a lot. I hope you learned to look into some of these things, and I hope you took a couple notes because this is a lot of information.
And we don't have the answers. This is like we said in the beginning.
Keep questioning.
This is a stream.
Question us.
Well, this is a stream of consciousness. Yeah. Yes. Don't take the word of anything you see. Even if you find information, find other outlets. Find different takes on it, and then what I encourage anyone to do is find different takes on it, consume it, and then see what you think.
Yeah.
Weigh
it out.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Although journalism is.
Oof. Critical thinking forever. Humanity for life, baby.
But it's such a pleasure to be here. Please.
Thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me. Please follow this channel, like and subscribe, share it to your friends, and take control of your life.
Oh, yes, I will. I couldn't have said it better myself. Love you all. Thank you for being here. That is why we're here. And catch you next episode, baby. This is a lot of fun.